Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. Do we need an intro? Or should we just go straight to talking to Gundam?
Rip the band-aid off immediately.
We have so much to talk about. We finally have a new episode of Gundam, and I feel like I should reiterate to our audience that Gundam GQuuuuuX, being the type of Gundam it is, good or bad, whether it is good or bad or not, with the staff that it is like the championship game for this podcast. This is like the Super Bowl, right? Like,
Is GQuuuuuX the first mainline television Gundam that has happened whilst we were doing this podcast?
No, Witch from Mercury.
Of course, duh. Oh my god. I'm so sorry.
Just let that one
Oh my god.
and Iron
my brain. No, Iron Blood Orphans is what real waiver in hand considering the incarnation of this podcast. My brain was so shifted over to the Universal Century that
yes, I know exactly why you said that. Though
zoned out about Sonata Sunday. I'm so sorry.
It is the only UC related ones, although
we deeply apologize for this Soletta erasure. These.
Don't cancel Iroh for being homophobic.
Well, okay, hang on, goddamn second.
Feel free, however, to cancel.
I'll give you my precious time on this Sunday to record this podcast, and you throw me under the bus.
we love you, Iroh, and we missed you greatly last week.
You're gonna step on me with your Gelgoog, like you're just gonna crush me underfoot, like
Amuro did to that one dude.
Yeah, like Amuro did in Doan's Island.
Not like Suletta did to that one dude, because that didn't happen.
That wasn't her foot.
She did no. You see, she didn't understand all of the implications of what she was doing. You do.
Yeah, well, we missed you, Iroh. Thank you for. We're glad to have you back. But yes, all right. Let's introduce everybody because we got a lot to talk about. I'm Gel. We're joined by Iroh once again. He's not dead.
I'm not dead yet. I'm not still here because I was gone last time, but I'm here again.
You could start a new streak of being still here.
Tomorrow comes.
Yes. We're joined by G.
Yes. Age of Japan is over. Age of France is now.
Those who come after.
I did. We're referring to, of course. God, how do you actually say the name?
Clair Obscur.
Expedition 33, which is the most Japanese RPG not made in Japan in a long while. But
it's better than Sea of Stars. Tell you what.
Oh, we're just lobbing bombs to open this podcast. Huh?
the little bit I've seen, it's pretty good, but it's
I think both Aaron and I have been genuinely having a good time with it. I think I don't know if it necessarily lives up to highest rated game of 2025. I got some minor qualms with it, but it is quite good.
If this came out during the era of JRPG, which it is evoking, aka the Xbox 360 JRPG era, alongside Lost Odyssey, The Last Remnant, Infinite Undiscovery, and whatnot, Eternal Sonata, it would be remembered as possibly the best of them.
It would lead the pack for sure. Mm-hmm. I think yes. It is. It is.
Most of those games were bad, though. They were interesting. Oh yes, bad. I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
This game. This game falls onto the good side, right?
Right.
Yes. This would have been. This would have been in Clair. Put this on the back of the box. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 would have been the best of the Lost Odyssey likes.
Better than Infinite Undiscovery.
No, in all seriousness, yes, I do not want to be part of the weird JRPG discourse around that game. It's obvious that game is a labor of love. It is clear the people making Clair Obscur have a great deal of respect and love for JRPGs. I mean, again, the director of that game invoked Shadow Hearts as an inspiration.
Yeah.
for Clair Obscur. These are real ones, to be clear.
Yeah,
and I think it shows in the game.
It makes for a very interesting mix of influences, but we'll leave it at that for now. But
for sure,
we're also joined by Zig. Welcome back, Zig.
Hello. I don't know anything about Gundam. And here I thought you were going to make a comment about me saying Age of France is now.
I mean, like, look, I'm British. The Age of France is always now as somebody to beat up on. So,
Yeah.
Oh my
so I
goodness.
too have been playing weird, like, genre piece, like, underappreciated, obscure games. I've been playing Suicide Squad.
I'm so
Oh.
sorry.
Oh,
Are you okay?
Yeah,
Wow.
you know,
Okay.
sometimes
I
I
mean-
like, in the same way that sometimes I like to experience bad anime, sometimes I have to play bad
Mm.
games.
I got roped into playing Marvel Rivals, so I can't talk too much. Although that is actually a pretty solid game.
See,
but
all I'm
it
out here playing
it
fucking
is
Shin
it
Megami
is what
Tensei
it
Gold
is.
Survivor instead.
Yeah, we
just
get it.
don't
You're an
talk
anime hipster, Iro. We
about it.
get
Read
it.
my posts
Yes.
on UpStateMoonshine.com.
I will continue to try to get you to take a break from SMT to play Labyrinth of GLORIO. The Moon
I promise.
Society.
It's installed on my computer, Jill.
Okay. Yes.
Please take a break from drinking vodka to instead drink whiskey.
Oh, I think it's
Oh.
something harder. What's harder than vodka? It might be harder.
Moonshine. Oh, like
Yeah. Just straight
Medical
moonshine.
ethanol.
Yeah.
Wait,
Anyway,
I was saying, which one is medical ethanol or moonshine in the comparison between Shin Megami Tensei and the what was it again? The Labyrinth of GLORIO?
Yeah. well, I would say take a poll to
Oh
see
my God.
how many people would recognize which name first. But yes. Anyway, let's.
It's not medical ethanol until he starts playing actual Rogue. Then we know.
Until I
it's
go,
all over.
until I go blind like Jackie Chan at the end of Drunken Master 2. Like,
literally drinking like fuel, right? Anyway,
off to great
putting all
start,
that
guys.
aside, let's get back to anime.
The
And
important things.
yeah, the important things.
Speaking of medical ethanol,
All
true.
right, so we have not talked about before. I joked about getting to Gundam. We will get into Gundam next, but I wanted to get back to Apothecary Diaries because we have not talked about it in probably over a month now as we've been doing the first looks. I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
Apothecary Diaries is going to be continuing on. We can pick it up when we pick up season shows, and of course, apparently something big happened in the
Yes.
meantime. Of
Little did we know you would make me wait 6 weeks to talk about Jinshi's big frog.
all right,
I thought you were talking about the bit where
What
this
about-
is
Go
all
ahead.
right,
where
well,
the show is transformed into like a girls' club.
Yeah, I don't know.
spin-off.
What about Jinshi's super hot mob?
yeah, all right. Well, why don't you guys tell me what happened?
Oh my
and we
goodness.
can get into it.
There's
The
so much
conspiracy
here.
is coming to a head. Like all of the like random little dangling plot threads from the past 20 episodes have coalesced into one event.
Real ass plot.
It's
basically.
kind of really impressive, actually, how they've pulled so many disparate elements into one
Mhm.
storyline.
It's really good because like the OP for like the second half like very much leans into as you say girls club spin-off because the OP like very much focuses on Mao Mao, Xiaomei and Shisui, the like three, the two like servant girls that always hang out with Mao Mao, and it's like, oh, okay, you almost think, oh, okay, is this gonna be the season where they just like shove all the filler in, like
Right.
where it's just the
And then
girls
it's like
hanging out.
you get like, here's your filler, and then big thing happened at the end of episode.
Yeah, but this all kind of gets incited by events many moons ago at this point,
Mhm.
where Jinshi gets invited on a hunting trip and brings Mao Mao with him, and the long and short of it is it's a setup designed to finally get into like Jinshi feeling like he needs to like come clean to Mao Mao about who he is and
Yes.
the state of his genitals.
Uh-huh.
And such important things, and gets interrupted by an assassination attempt on his life, and they end up in a, they end up in a cave, and Mao Mao gets a full handful of Jinshi's big frog.
Just like the president of the United States in Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty.
Yes, it's basically that. Just cups it fully, cups that frog, gets the full girth and length of it. Apparently, it is fairly impressive. These are the parts where like you can really tell. Oh, right, yes, this is like female-oriented like YA fiction.
As
Like-
Akugaze brings up, and I agree with him. Like, there's that interview with the original writer of Apothecary Diaries where she's like, "I don't know why I put Jinshi in this story. He doesn't need to be here."
So he can be. It's so his big frog can be objectified.
Uh-huh.
Again, I keep referring to it as a frog because
that's what Mao refers it to.
Yes, because
there's some very
grabs,
funny dancing around the issue. Let's say.
Yes. She's like, no, it was definitely a frog. You know, it was shaped like one. And she's like, no,
one.
I saw where your hand went, and she's like, it was a frog. You know, she is.
Mao is continuing her like repeated pattern of behavior of like being willfully ignorant about things that would make her life more complicated if she knew them.
Yes, essentially.
Which honestly just makes her even more relatable than before.
Well, Mao embodies the feeling of not wanting to become too important at work.
God, yeah.
Because that is a quick way to ruin your life. But yes, I mean, the long and short of it is yes, the reveal is that Jinchi is indeed, as has been quite obvious at this point.
As we the audience have known this for quite some time.
Right, he is not a eunuch. In fact, he is quite the opposite of a eunuch in many ways.
And he is the Imperial brother.
Yes,
the Imperial brother who has been in seclusion for supposedly being disfigured or what have you.
Right, and kind of the through line of this and what this leads to throughout these remaining episodes is this feeling that, for better or worse, like Mao will have to become a part of the court politics of this show, whether she likes it or not. Like if she doesn't, if she doesn't, Jinchi will drag her in because he is obsessed. And not only that, but in some ways, she doesn't even have a choice anymore. She has become too important, even if she did not want to.
She's out here playing midwife to the consort, like,
right? Like she has become too important to not get involved, and so it's join Jinchi's faction or. The alternatives are not much better, as we kind of find out throughout these other episodes, right?
And she is she is the daughter of like the court strategist, as much as she doesn't want to be. So she is, in fact, a very important person.
Yeah, talking about picking up a thread from ages ago, that suddenly becomes important again in the last couple of episodes.
Yeah. Still, there's a lot going on, and so what? Yes, and after all that business with the frog, what has happened lately is essentially a brand new batch of eunuchs has been brought into the palace for odd jobs, etc. And one of them is Suirei. Is it Suirei? Suirei in disguise. Suirei, a character from season 1 who caused problems. That I cannot quite recall because there's so much happening in this show. She tried to kill somebody, it didn't work. She disappeared from the Borg, and now she's back. And so she kidnaps Mao. Is it fair to say kidnap?
Yes, that is as of the latest episode. Yes,
it's a very genteel kidnapping, but yes.
Well, I think the thing that kind of becomes apparent by the end of the latest episode is there's probably more to this story than we are being led on. But at least as of this moment, yes, Mao has been absconded with. It is revealed that Shisui is Sui Ren's sister. At least they point out, wow, you really could have picked a more different name, or less obvious name there.
And there's
infiltration.
Let's see. There's one more thing about Shisui that is notable that has been hinted at but not stated outright.
She's got surprisingly large boobs.
No,
I did mention that.
Not that. Okay, if you don't know, then it's fine. I think it's
fine.
I don't actually know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
they hinted that she has noble upbringing potentially, right? That she's
I won't say it because if you don't know, then it actually would be a sizable reveal. So
okay. I'm trying to put it together because yes, they do hint. I mean, they have hinted up till now that she is strangely well educated for a servant girl. That she seems to know more than she's let on.
And in the latest episode, there's a lot of hints that she may actually be from a fairly well-to-do background, right?
Yes,
right. Because they meet her brother, and Mao analyzes him as being somebody who's used to privilege. So
Right, but yeah, I mean, the
Lots of
point is,
Mao
yes.
Mao looking at people and like engaging detective vision in this.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, they've basically been absconded to some like remote village where it seems like
Right.
it's like a hot springs resort or something, and it's not exactly a bandit camp. So already it's like, okay, well, Mao Mao's not exactly being like taken ransom here, but it's clear she's being kidnapped for. Well, I guess they kidnap her because she basically like keys into like the plot that's going on, right? She kind of figures out that like a lot of the like various attempts at like prematurely aborting the pregnancies of various consorts is a part of what seems to be a larger plot aimed at probably rigging the succession, right, of the
Yes.
emperor, something along those lines, right? These damn consorts are just too fertile, and kind of figures out that that by the same dint of if you put up a notice that says warning, don't eat these foods, they can cause you to miscarriage, that you're also in fact now seeding that information to those who would use it for malicious ends, right? And
Yes.
realizes there's sort of a wider conspiracy there, but what that all kind of adds up to kind of remains to be seen. But yes, it means Mao Mao is in hostile ? Territory.
They are being relatively nice to her, or rather,
Yes,
they're not
yes.
binding and gagging her.
Well, they found her at first, but they let her go.
Once she basically figured out the deception, they were like, "There's no point in like keeping you bound anymore." Because,
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So everyone's freaking out, right? Got to find Mao Mao.
Oh yeah, right. It's a.
Anyways,
it's. I think like obviously there's like a lot more. I mean, it's been like 6 episodes since we last talked about it, but I think just the general takeaway is that Apothecary Diaries has done a remarkably solid job of like stringing along seemingly like disconnected events together towards like a larger overarching plot point, right? Because you have stuff like. There's stuff like, the consort's like upcoming pregnancies, the potential complications that may result from that, the kind of the life and times of, the less privileged servant girls in the court,
yes.
the sort of, at the end of the day, the like reminder that like this is a deeply like patriarchal like organization, and that many of the women here are like, in many ways at the mercy of like the power structures here, right? They talk about how many of the like older women who are here were like concubines of the former emperor, the former
noted pedophile, the former
noted
emperor.
Pedophile, yes, the with pedophilic tendencies, and the like ways in which that has like resounding consequences like years later, and it just does a good job of like kind of tying it all up and making it feel like it was all adding up to a fairly cohesive overarching mystery here.
I was surprised by how deep those callbacks went and how they dug up, minor things that were left hanging, but they're the kind of things that you wouldn't really expect to be resolved. You kind of write them off as inconsistencies necessary to make an episode work, but they've dug deep and brought back a lot of stuff, and it's quite gratifying to see it all knit together. I give them a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So, as the outsider here on this one, how much of this stuff is like actually shaking up the status quo versus like this is the arc we're on?
I would say what's happening is like the status quo. Everyone is desperately trying to maintain it as it becomes increasingly on shaky ground, right?
Okay.
Go ahead, Zig. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that this arc feels like it's going to shift the status quo, at least in a minor sense. But it's hard to say, because so much of the enjoyment of the show does just come from Mao Mao kind of doing her thing while the palace moves around her. That I'm not entirely sure whether I want them to fully move out of that mode yet. It's hard to say, really.
Right.
I think for me, it's like it feels like they are setting up a status quo shift, but the way this show has been up till now, like this could easily all resolve in a way that like returns us to a fairly familiar status quo, and I would not be surprised by it, I guess. Like there have been big changes, but like at the end of the day, we're like 30 plus episodes in, and like, you know, Mao Mao is broadly still doing the same shit she was doing back in like episode 5. You know what I mean? And so I could see the status quo shifting, but I don't know. At the same time, it feels to me like the show is very comfortable with letting Mao Mao be where she is in the story, or doing what she does, or this type of story being what it is, if that makes sense.
Right. I think to Zig's point, that's kind of what you're here for, right? So, like,
Right.
do we even want the drastic shift in, you know?
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, I think that they will return to the status quo, but perhaps with some modifications at the end of this.
That's kind of what I would assume.
I don't think you're going to lose that core appeal of Mao Mao negotiating her way through these political waters, but it feels like the kind of thing where, you know, a major event is in the process of happening. The concubine who has been pregnant for ages is about to give birth. So it feels like that several characters will have their arcs advance, but I'm not necessarily sure that the base premise of the show will be completely undone, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's just interesting, you know, from my perspective, listening. We've been talking about this show for God knows how long at this point, right? Because we're well into, you know, a fourth core or something now, right? So
my understanding is, if one were to look at the entire original web novel, there was a lot left to go.
Okay,
I guess that's the thing, right? Like, what are the chances of this thing actually like going the distance? I mean, I know it's very popular, but like,
but like, for example, we are very quickly catching up to where the popular manga adaptation is at, which is again not
the original source.
Let's say less than halfway through the original source.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of material there if they did want to carry on.
And it would be interesting. It's mega popular, so
it would be interesting to have an anime overtake the manga for a change.
I know.
That would be an
I don't know. I'm not ready to go back to that world.
Right, because it was a web novel that's complete, and then there's a manga adaptation, and the anime is using like the designs from the manga, right?
Right. Okay.
That would be interesting. All right. I guess my point was, like, we've gone from every week you're like, yep, Apothecary Diaries is doing what they do, and then finally it was like, oh, stuff happened. the one stretch of time that we didn't have time to talk about it. Stuff happened.
It does feel that I should point out that there was still some not filler, but like weird one-off episodes in this. Like there was a gratuitous bathhouse episode where we suddenly find that the rear palace has an enormous complex of baths which we've never seen before, which were presumably just off camera in the same way as the room was just off camera.
It wasn't that gratuitous.
I mean, like, not in terms of content, but in terms of just showing up out of nowhere.
No, I think what Zig is getting at is just like, oh, this is like the first episode in like 40 episodes where we're like, there's like, wow, we need to take a bath. Let's go to the place where we take baths.
Yes, the complex with like 20 baths. So there have been, you know, some non-plot episodes, although generally, even in the non-plot episodes, they're very good at, you know, giving you a nugget of story or something,
for sure,
like I was saying earlier, that gets called back to in the process of the bigger plot there. Right. So even those feel like they're contributing a little bit to the story arc, which is kind of what you want from those kind of things, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, Mao Mao has returned. We will continue talking about that for the rest of the season, but everybody warmed up?
All right, take the training weights off.
All right, well, it's time. Let's talk about Mobile Suit Gundam GQuuuuuX.
The first new content we've had to talk about in like 2 months, I think.
I guess.
Let me start at a high level here, and we can work our way down. But
okay,
episode 3 was the last of the theatrical release episodes that we've already talked about. So again, if you want our full breakdown of that, go to episode 183 of this podcast, where we talk about the theatrical release for a very long time. That was the final part of Machu gets into her first underground Gundam battle.
Right,
She
does
does her
claim
Gundam
that.
Jack and gets into her street fights. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So
She teams up with. I guess we should introduce some of these things just because, like, I guess we should establish a baseline, right? Like, episode 3 is where they introduce Shuji, right, the pilot of the Red Gundam,
right,
who is
somehow has the Red
mysterious-
Gundam.
Yeah, somehow has the Red Gundam. No Char Aznable in sight. He is this mysterious, sort of air-headed, blue-haired boy who is spacey in the way that certain characters in the Gundam setting and stories are spacey. And in ways that even before the latest episode is clearly meant to indicate to you that there is more to this kid than is being let on. Beyond the fact that he happens to be hanging out with Char Aznable's fucking Gundam. You know?
He is acting mysterious in the way that characters act mysteriously that make you go, "Hey, look at that guy! He's mysterious."
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Something's going on here.
Yeah, and they kind of set up that, okay, so they're going to have to, because clan bats are 2v2s, Machu needs a partner, a Mav, if you will, which is this, to be clear, Mav is unique to GQuuuuuX. This is not a callback to older Gundams, as far as I know, like, the specific terminology they're using here of Mav for, like, wingman is unique to this show.
They worked that into the flashback episode, right? But didn't they? But it's not.
Yes.
It's not like that's new. That's not.
It's very weird to me, the kind of the amount of emphasis they put on the term Mav, as if it's somehow a very unique concept, when really it's just, oh, hey, you've got a wingman. This is, this is literally like an ancient concept.
Yeah, it's like, this has like been a thing since like like this has been a part of like, like World War II era dogfighting, like, concepts, right? But they play it up as like, well, a Mav isn't just your wingman. A Mav is like, you almost have like a bond with them, an emotional
they're trying to play up a like potential
new type connection.
new type connection with your Mav.
Right.
Like you are not just piloting together, you are approaching a unit.
Right. And the feeling here being that like the most successful fighters, the most successful pilots in this take on Gundam are those who form a tight Mav with their partner.
The top Mav in the 1 year war was Char and Shalia Bull, right?
Exactly,
best buds.
Your Mav is the person you're going to get shipped with.
Yes, very important person, Shalia Bull, right? But
so episode 3 is fine. I mean, it's just kind of a introduction, right? It is Machu's first time properly piloting. They do the classic. Oh, she's got to get the hang of piloting and working together.
Right.
She wins the day, wins the fight. Huzzah!
Yeah, and we'll talk more about how, particularly in episode 4, Shuji also becomes a little more suspicious, or you're wondering what's going on. But I mean, but yes, going into episode 4, I think a big theme of the episode is the let's say lingering tension and resentment of the Zeon occupation, and this is primarily told through our next Gundam battle, right? Our next clan battle here, where we're introduced to a new character,
Mirai Noah.
Almost. People actually really did were there was a lot of speculation about that character because of her design. But yes, we are introduced to Shiiko Sugai, or otherwise known as the Witch, the Unicum of the Federation, as they call her. She is introduced as a Federation ace pilot with over 100 confirmed kills, which
Plus if the top 1% of Federation.
Yes. If we were following original UC 1 year war numbers, that puts her right up there with Amuro Ray and everybody's favorite Federation glup Shido, Tenneth A. Jung.
Yeah.
Okay.
A character who has literally never appeared in anything outside of MSV side materials.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even recognize the name Tenneth Young.
Can I ask a question? Is it just a thing to call female pilots that are good witches?
I guess.
People were like, yeah. I mean, people were like, is this a Witch from Mercury thing or what? But yes, I think it is just meant to be a.
I mean, I
think it's just a
get
theme.
it, but you know,
I think it's just a title you give to a female pilot that sounds somewhat sinister.
I thought it was funny her like call sign for Clan Battle was Mama Majo.
Yes, very good.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, yes, she was a ace pilot for the Federation, but in her current life, she is a mom, right? Like,
yes, a housewife, a mother. You know.
Yeah, and a very. And you know, she comes off as sort of the stereotypical kind of, you know, very polite, her initial impression.
Character design makes her look younger than she's meant to be.
Very Okasan coded.
They go out of their way to kind of demonstrate her as very gentle, very polite, very understanding, which is, of course, meant to contrast with her as an ace pilot.
As a pilot, yes, you know,
and her as an ace pilot, and also her, I guess, burning desire for revenge.
Yes,
can I go off on the burning desire for revenge quickly?
Sure.
Okay. I think that it's really dumb. I think that it's really dumb that she is obsessed with getting revenge on the Gundam, even though she knows that the dude who was piloting the Gundam when he killed her Mav is not in the Gundam. It seems
I think that's
I think we have one or two people on this podcast who are obsessed with revenge against the Gundam, even though the person piloting the Gundam is not the person who piloted the Gundam previously.
I'm willing to hear defenses. So please go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. As someone who's also like, here's the. I think myself, Iro, and Zig kind of. And I don't know about you, Jill. My apologies, but at least the three of us here occupy like three like different places on the spectrum of like how we feel about this episode.
Yeah, I have. You guys have had more, I think, internal discussion. I haven't really spoken much about my opinion. I'll jump in later. I'll let you guys.
I think I'm probably somewhere in the middle here because like I do agree that like I think the setup for this episode is a little shaky, and I think much of that is at the fault of, as far as we know, this being a 12-episode run, Shiiko does not really have a lot of time to establish herself as somebody haunted by the specter of, I guess it's the Red Devil now, it's not the White Devil. Because I do think, I almost think that like this plot line is meant to be looked at more like from a sort of metaphorical thematic standpoint of like the Gundam as a symbol, right? Because we know that even in the UC, the standard, our original UC, the Gundam is not just a mobile suit. It is not just the person piloting it. The Gundam is a symbol of the Federation, right? It is a symbol of their dominance in the 1-year war. It is a symbol of like specific ideals and concepts, and how like
it is a symbol of how the mobile suit has become the predominant weapon.
Yes,
that the sides are
time
using against
and
each
time
other.
Again, people cannot escape its specter, right? We see this all the way into like turn A when oh god, what's his name? Coronander sees the Gundam and freaks the fuck out, right?
I can't hear a Gundam name and not laugh, but
I know.
No, absolutely.
But that's kind of the point, right? Is that even a millennia removed from that era, they cannot help but be like that. The imagery of the Gundam cannot help but invoke a certain reaction in people, right? And so I think that is what's being intended with like why Shiiko seeks revenge against the Red Gundam. But
yes,
again, Coronander had, I mean, I know he was like half a joke here, but also Coronander had whole episodes devoted to him. He had like a solid arc and a half devoted to building
because they had like 52 episodes.
Yeah,
right,
and
Shiiko
also
doesn't,
like
and suffers
because there aren't 52 episodes. So, like,
right,
man. Remember when Lauren deceived Coronander by holding that float in front of him? Turned out he's a pretty good show, is what I'm saying.
You know what? Okay, I will say shout out to episode 4 of GQuuuuuX. They brought back balloons. Haven't seen those.
Yeah.
A balloon.
Yes.
I wrote. How are you weighing in on this? Because she said that you're the third.
I am
triangle here.
I get the feeling I'm going to be the in the unenviable and uncommon position of being the GQuuuuuX defender. in which I think as of now it's totally fine. Just
do you? So, I mean, I guess what G is saying is
it's a symbol. Like she is raging against a
symbolic
symbol.
But maybe we needed more time to.
Maybe I think
for it to
that we don't have more time, and given that fact, they are doing an admirable job with economic storytelling.
Sure. And I think that's kind of maybe where the three of us are with this is how much do we independently recognize that this is working under specific constraints versus holistically, is that a thing to even take into consideration when you're like trying to evaluate a piece of media, right? Like
I think my major issue in this case is that I completely get what you're saying, G, in that I understand the Gundam is meant as a representation, in this case, of the carnage of the 1 Year War and, in general of Zeon. But it's the way that they go out of their way in every other way to make the feud extremely personal. The fact that the person killed was her Mav, her wingman, whatever. The fact that they emphasize that she's doing this even though she has a child at home, And I think my biggest issue is that it runs the danger of making the robot more important than the people who are piloting it. And I think that's a very dangerous thing to do.
Would you not say that Gundam, the franchise, has become more important than the people who are running any individual version of Gundam?
I mean, it's a constant tension, right? I think that, again, I don't think that the episode is an egregious example of that. I think that there's plenty of meat to get into as far as her attacking the Gundam as a symbol. It's just something that rubs me a little bit the wrong way at the edges. Again, I'm not condemning the episode because of it.
Yeah.
I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe.
No,
okay. I will say that I think I have softened my I will get into this a little bit later. I want to make sure everybody else gets their points out first before I really just go off the hinges here. But I think I've softened on this episode, given more time interrogating my own feelings of I think in many ways this episode works because it elicited a very strong emotional reaction in me. I found myself deeply affected by this episode in the immediate aftermath of it, and once I took some time to step away from it, I understand what it's doing, and now my more nuanced position is I see what it is trying to do. I hope it can pull it off, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because I think there's a world in which 6 weeks from now, I look back on what I say here and go, oh, I had nothing to worry about. Tsurumaki and Enokido knew what they were doing. They set it up perfectly in that episode, and they were able to carry those plot points towards a satisfying and thematically cohesive conclusion. I think it's just we exist in the shaky limbo of being almost midway through a Gundam, which is a fucked up thing to say.
Well, we're a third of the way through it.
A third through a Gundam, and going, I hope you're cooking. I hope you know what you're doing with this.
I mean, this isn't even a Gundam thing. It is a show thing. This is always the awkward period for every show.
We have been over this very concept regarding many different shows many times over the years, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I have a very different angle on this.
Sure.
Because I have no Gundam baggage.
You perhaps have the truest thoughts of any of us.
Your soul is not weighed down by gravity.
Exactly.
I have no baggage whatsoever. As I've stated before, the only Gundams I've ever seen are Wing, and that was 30 years ago, and Witcher Mercury.
Wing doesn't count.
And that doesn't count, right? From what I do know of Gundam, I feel like Wing is not representative of at least DC Gundam.
We'll do a Wing rewatch someday. I swear to God we will.
So anyway, I have no baggage. This is my point. My baggage coming into this is one Kazuya Tsurumaki. That is my connection to this series.
Yes. Would you say that's the appeal for you as well, the thing you're looking for?
Well, okay, look, just because I haven't watched Gundam doesn't mean I don't like it. It's just I've never really. It's never, and I very much like Witcher Mercury, which may also not be necessarily representative of Gundam as a whole either. But so it's not that you Gundam. I don't want to. I'm watching for Tsurumaki.
Right,
That is my.
I'm not saying that. It's
that is
just
the baggage I'm bringing into this.
Yeah,
Is I've stated Fooly Cooly is probably my favorite anime. If you hold a gun to my head, I love Die Buster, and
Good.
Unfortunately, I have started the hashtag Free Tsurumaki. Not really, but spiritually,
Yes.
with all his past 15 years being tied up on Evangelion, right? So
Yep.
anyway. So having no Gundam baggage, I think I'm looking. I'm definitely. I think I'm mostly leaning into G's perspective on. I'm definitely looking at this as a. They're bringing in characters and things happening as symbols of ideas, right? And so I didn't really have too much of a problem with this episode and how it played out and how it ended. I do also agree, it was kind of dumb, like just as Zig was saying that she went that far, and I don't even know, it seems like she was willing to die, but I don't know if she was expecting to die, because normally you're not supposed to die in these fights, right?
So I think that is sort of meant to be the
happens,
melodrama of it, right? Is that Shiiko is inherently a tragic figure, right? And in some ways, it's like if Shiiko were like a grizzled, haggard old man with sunken eyes and a gaunt face,
then we'd all be way more into him.
Well, first of all, that's not true. I will save the Shiiko Sugai simp hour for later in this podcast. But the point
G is into the deranged MILF. Big surprise.
The point I'm making is that if she had that, if that character looked differently, I think we probably all would have understood innately. Oh, it's that archetype, the man haunted by the ghosts of the war, right?
Yeah,
because she is a bubbly looking, a friend-shaped MILF. I think it's very easy to miss that. Oh no, she is that character.
Yeah,
she is,
and go ahead and finish.
No, just that she is haunted by the past, right? She is irrationally so, right?
Right.
Yeah,
and like I said, I don't know if she was, like I said, I feel like she was ready to die, but perhaps not expecting to die in that situation, and that's part of the. I think part of the other big thing that they're trying to show with the ending is casting Shuji in a certain light of
Shuji is a way more menacing character now.
Yes,
I think
right.
Stone cold killer,
and I want
to so just a few more things. With that aspect of it, I'm actually, the thing that annoys me most is I hate the type of arc I feel like they're going for that they might be going for with Machi. We don't really know, where she's ready to follow Shuji into hell for some reason, probably because he's a pretty boy, and I'm not feeling that. We'll see. I want to see what because the show ends where they're still in the cockpit, right? We don't really, and it seems like Machi was relatively unfazed by this when she probably should be, but we'll see what happens once we get out of the cockpit. I will say
that definitely gets into some of my troubles with the end.
I will say, based on the episode preview, it doesn't seem like she's going to be very troubled by it at all. But so there's that part of it, and then just one more thing I wanted to add, because we're talking about time and stuff, and I want to just pull this back to my feelings about Tsurumaki. I was thinking about for one, I'm also not totally convinced this is only going to be 12 episodes, but we'll see. I'm still acting under that assumption.
You guys need to share this copium you're huffing.
So I'm just saying it would not surprise me.
I just don't believe that they would go to the trouble of bringing in a studio as high profile as Kara and only giving them 12 episodes.
For the time being, I'm acting under the assumption, though, that it is 12 episodes. So I was thinking, okay, well, I like Tsurumaki. My favorite works from him are Fooly Cooly and Die Buster, and those are both 6 episodes long.
Yes.
So
He's good at writing short stories.
He's good at doing the short stories. So my concern, and some of this may be because we burned a whole episode on that backstory, which I didn't care about.
Thanks, Ono.
When I go back, and I haven't watched Die Buster in a very long time, but if I go back and watch Fooly Cooly again, every second of that of every episode of Fooly Cooly is doing something.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. It is absolutely jam-packed with almost too much to the point where it's overwhelming.
I think you and I are about to converge at a point on the triangle.
I think that's only obvious because you can watch Fooly Cooly as a unit. Like, you know...
I well, yeah. I guess I would really have no way of knowing that because I watched Fooly Cooly when it was all available. But my point is, if you like, it's so dense, you almost have to watch it multiple times to have really understand what's going on. And I've noticed something similar in GQuuuuuX, where so like in Fooly Cooly, like, a lot of stuff just happens with no context, right? And you don't, you can figure it. Like, there's enough there for your brain to figure it out, but stuff just happens without connecting. It feels like there's pieces missing between scenes and stuff, right? Like, but your brain can put it all together. And part of it is because they're packing so much stuff into 6 episodes that's the way it works. And I feel like we're getting some of that in GQuuuuuX, but it is not as compressed. And I don't know. I don't know.
I think episode 4 of GQuuuuuX in a what's one weird thing about this episode is that though it is episode 4 of a 12 episode series, it feels like an episode 8 of a 12 episode series.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm ultimately trying to get at is like it doesn't feel like we're moving fast enough, even though we are kind of like compressed. It's weird how we are still kind of time compressing things, but it also feels like we haven't really gotten that far and we're already on episode 4.
I think like some of this is also like it just mentally we have been living with like the first like third of GQuuuuuX for like 2 months now, right?
Right, but it is like movie, I mean, realistically speaking, though,
they've rolled this out.
Yeah, that there's and there's nothing we can do about that, right? That's just how our brains are going to handle it.
So it feels like they should have done more by now, even if what's actually on paper is not that much.
But putting that aside, I mean, we already said the show is a third over. If we're acting under the assumption of it's 12 episodes, the show is a third over. Like, that's the reality, right? Yeah. So, and
but I mean, the show has merely reached a third in, and Machu is already having to confront the harsh realities of what she started doing in episode.
Is she? She's sunbathing with Shuji on top of the Gundam in the next episode.
And last week's next episode preview was just like, look at this cute girl.
Oh, we all knew there was something wrong with Shiiko the moment she showed up.
Can I loop around to a few things that Jill was saying just before? So, Jill, you talked about how a lot of random events happen in Fooly Cooly, and it's kind of hard to reconcile them until you see the whole thing as a unit there. I think that works in Fooly Cooly because it's a much more deliberately low-key, surreal story, right?
Like Fooly cartoony and wacky,
Fooly Cooly is kind of a plot-light anime. Like, there is a story, but it's not the important thing. The vibes are the important thing, right? I think for better or worse, you know, my expectations from a Gundam show are a more story-focused experience, so to speak. And I think the thing which worries me the most about GQuuuuuX so far, and, you know, the thing about the revenge on the Gundam, you know, it's irritating me that it's neither here nor there. I still enjoyed that sequence. I just don't really feel like I know any of these characters. Yeah, I don't have an attachment to them.
I think that's kind of like the Achilles heel of the show at the moment. Like,
I guess my question is like, my question to that is like, is having an attachment to the characters and understanding the characters like the same thing?
Like, no, not necessarily. I don't think. I think that I understand the characters in the abstract more than I have an attachment to them. You know, I understand that Machu is partaking in clan battle because she is, you know, someone who is restless in her place, who wants to get out and see the universe. But I don't feel that, you know, and I don't really know anything about Nya or Shuji or Chalia Bull or what's his name, Ensign Stupid, who's Xavier. It just kind of feels like a lot of things are happening, but I don't feel a strong sense of attachment to the people they're happening.
I was thinking about this like in comparison to obviously other Gundams, you know, and it kind of reminds me of like, again, we all kind of like broadly agreed that the like on paper plot of Witch for Mercury has some problems.
Yes.
We all agree, but you know what we also all agreed on? That those two crazy kids made it in this messed up world.
I think Witch for Mercury is almost the inverse of this, in that I think that story had problems, but I really enjoyed hanging out with those characters. They did a good job of building the relationship between, you know, Suletta and Miorine, but also
like as that plot became flimsier, there was still a like core emotional thing to kind of latch onto.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe what like this is why like I keep saying that like when I watch GQuuuuuX, I feel kind of cold towards it, which is a bit of a strange feeling for Gundam.
I think part of that
emotion, like I think the emotions in G Witch are like, you know, very melodramatic, not bad melodramatic, just melodramatic of like, you know, love and couples and social anxiety or what have you, with Suletta freaking out. And in GQuuuuuX, like it is, I think the like listlessness of, you know, existence in a stifling world is inherently a more like nebulous feeling, right?
Yes. I'm going to bring up a factor which I think has affected the way I see it, which is because this thing has positioned itself as an alternative. You see, I feel like I'm spending so much time analyzing the show, I'm having problems feeling it. So
this is what I mean,
I think that's like, something that, right? I think maybe that's like the crux of our like different opinions, because I think I have a lot more easily just slid into okay, it's all
I have no baggage on that front, and Ira, you probably have less baggage on it, right? But
Zig, are you and I still under the thrall of the Red Comet?
Right? Would you say that you are new types possessed by hatred? Like,
but no, I freely
admit,
right?
I freely admit that this is a personal failing, for want of a better word, a lack of objectivity.
I don't think it's a failing. I think it's that you and I like have watched a lot of fucking Gundam,
here.
Especially UC. Yeah, hey, we'll talk about my Glup Shido, all right? Hey, let me get there when I get there.
Also,
but
you know, again, this is something that I made a point of in the first look post, and also in the post I wrote about episode 2, is if you position yourself as an alternate UC and ride off of the, you know, attention and sort of automatic weight you get from doing that, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask you to do something major and interesting with.
I agree.
Your story,
like I think that has always been kind of my key like sticking point with GQuuuuuX is you
put down a bigger bet, therefore you need to deliver a bigger jackpot.
Right, because like again, in a vacuum, I am deeply charmed by GQuuuuuX. I think it's a very well made, very well directed show. I do like that little bit where like Machu fucks with the dog is hilarious. You know, like
I think her standing on her head on her bed, it is pretty funny.
Yeah, like I even like the subtext that like in a lot of ways Machu is like. I stole this from somebody on Twitter, but like you could read Machu as just this is what happens when a middle class white girl meets a like, you know, an artsy crust punk for the first time. You know? Like,
yeah, that is that kind of energy. Yes,
right. It has that energy of like, oh, you know, Shuji is dangerous and he owns a sick motorbike. And,
he just needs to beat up acoustic guitar.
And you know, like he's nothing like my mom. You know, it's like it's all that shit, right? And it's like I think, like to the point where it's like, could I imagine? Maybe, especially in today's America, a middle class white girl being fine with watching their boyfriend kill a mother. Maybe, you know, like there are. Like,
I mean, it's a very different context, right? But
right, you know, like even like there's even the aspects of like I really hope I'm not reading too much. I really hope the show addresses this. I even love the like slight bits of like unintentional classism between like Machu and Nyan, right? Like we don't know much about Nyan other than she's a refugee and she has to do fairly shady work to make ends meet. But there's like aspects of like. Nyan is clearly somebody for whom danger has been a part of her life. And so she's naturally wary of Shuji, right? Like someone like that is inherently a flight risk if you are a marginalized person or a vulnerable person, whereas Machu's like, man, maybe he stole the Gundam. Oh, that would be so sick if he stole the Gundam.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like talking about like what she's going to spend her clan bat money on, right? Because Machu doesn't have to pay rent, you know, she doesn't have to pay for school, right? Whereas like Nyan is like, bro, I need this money to live. And I think those are interesting dynamics, and I hope the show explores them. It's like, I don't know, you know, it's you don't got a ton of episodes to work with here.
Yeah.
But,
I'm really putting maybe too much weight on the next episode of like, you know, we're joking about them sunbathing on the Gundam and stuff, but I feel like this show would very much benefit from a let's hang out episode.
Yeah, dude, I am looking across.
Yeah,
like, I am looking across the river at the Machu Nyan shippers, like clutching their betting tickets, like rent is due. Yeah, like they are. Let me tell you, they are on edge about the next episode. They are like the stocks on Machu Nyan. It's gonna get decided in episode 5.
I think they're gonna have to go back and rewatch Witch from Mercury on this one. Is my opinion. Unfortunately, I'm with you. I'm with you, folks. I'm on your side. I'm just saying. I'm a realist here.
There's a reason why I didn't.
They're together, and the ED and Shuji is not. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. You know.
Well, but your one thread of hope is that Shuji is actually bad, and
that is obviously a very menacing character.
I mean, I'm gonna stick in my oar one more time and go for the most obvious critique of all. Sorry, this is the most predictable thing I've ever said, but also there's a lot of space magic in this show, and I don't particularly like the space magic in Gundam. I
see. Okay, so this is again where my lack of baggage is coming in. I love space magic, so like
I'm not against space magic.
I have a franchise for you.
Yeah, I am not against space magic in non-Gundam shows. I just, I tend to lean more towards the harder.
When Shuji does his space magic at the end of this episode, I'm like, hell yeah. Let's get weird. Okay.
Well,
let's get as weird as possible.
It's very. If the way I read it with my sort of broader context was like this is kind of upsetting in certain ways.
Yes. Let's get into it. All right. Like, it's been good talking about the characters and all that, but let's talk about what really matters here in Gundam. All right, the fucking robots and the space magic and the MILFs. Exactly. All right. So let me
status as a psychic type of whirlpool like.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's get into the actual fight here. All right. Let me preface all of this. Let me preface all of this by saying, like, before. Let me put cards on the table about where I stand and how you may choose to read my opinions on this show. All right. Shiiko Sugai was a woman who may have become a mother to me. All right. I'll just say it outright. All right. Holy shit. All right. I cannot remember the last anime character I've seen that fucking took over my brain like this. Like I
can, because you watched Eureka 7 like a week ago.
And guess what? That was like years ago. All right.
Like, different time.
Like Shiiko is like, oh my god, fucking crazy how many like boxes she checks. It's fucked up, man.
We need to abandon ship. We need to get out of here.
Like she was built in a lab, bro. Like I mean, she's a loving housewife, and she's a Federation ace, and she pilots a GM, and she gave the Gundam a run for its money. Shut the fuck up! It's a gym, damn it. And she's a little sick.
It's a girl
truly doing it all, right?
It's a Gelgoog in the same way the Zeta Gundam was a Zaku.
Buddy.
No, it's the Borjanon is a Zaku.
When are you dropping the fan art?
Remember, they put
I'm working on it. I am literally, like, as we speak, right. I mean, I am, okay, what I'm actually doing is I am rescuing Shiiko from her fate in GQuuuuuX, and I am porting her character into Lancer. So, I am working on some Lancer cross Gundam GQuuuuuX fan art right now. But,
boy, we have really let this get out of control. Well,
like, buddy. Oh, you don't need Zig. I could have fixed her. I wouldn't have stopped at one kid. All right,
you and the rest of social media, buddy.
All right, this is not a crash podcast.
You would have freed her from the hatred of being a new type. Like,
yes, rest assured, I would have done the hard and necessary work to get her over her dead Mav. All
You
right,
wouldn't have turned her into a human weapon.
You would have paid for her therapy,
Oh, my
right? That's what you
goodness.
mean, right?
Oh.
Yes.
So
Look, G, I'm with you. All right. Look,
thank you.
I'm with you. we got.
All right.
We
So
gotcha.
in all seriousness, okay. So I really do like many aspects of this fight, right? So yes, the biggest thing I want to say, I called it. I know many people called it, but I felt very big brained when I commented at the end of the previous episode. I was like, what would the gym even be in GQuuuuuX? Because the GM is the mass-produced like variant of the Gundam that was developed using Amuro's combat data.
It still
the
is.
Gundam, and it still is. But now it's called the Gelgoog. Get it? You know, it's a good meta joke. I do like it. I do like that they bust out the Gelgoog, quote unquote, and it's just a fucking GM.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's got the 3-eyed head. That's a Gelgoog.
Yeah. What? No, the Gelgoog's a Moto Eye.
Look, man, there are a lot of Xeon suits. Okay.
Yes, I know. No, the thing that is Gelgoogish about it is it has the snout, kind of.
The thing that's Gelgoogish about it is that it dies.
No, that's Jim.
I mean, no. That's the gym life right there. You know, hell, the Gelgoog actually. Look. Like Char fought Amuro at parity with the Gelgoog for about 90 seconds before Lala took a bullet for him. Anyways, so I really do like it's the way they explain why Shiiko is this legendary ace pilot is like very. I mean, I don't know how much this holds up to muster, honestly, but like her trick basically being that she has the like goofs like wire grappling hook, and like uses that to like rapidly shift her like trajectory and centrifugal force to like change orientation. I think is very like it's very slick. I think
it's one of the better pilot of the week gimmicks we've seen.
Yeah, I really like it. It's a really fun showing for, again, a generally put upon mobile
it's a very build fighters like maneuver.
Yeah.
They got to be like, oh, there's this mysterious stigmata on the robots. Very good. Yes,
it's great. I love
very
it.
Very good.
I think it's a lot of fun watching her just kind of do these fucking loop-de-loops. I'm always a sucker for the trope of like you're like riding the centrifugal, like the G-force is so hard your mech is like breaking under the strain of it. They
do a really good job of conveying like speed and momentum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like it's that shame. It's that thing that's like such a shame that like in a 12-episode series, this is a one-off character, right? Like this is not somebody who gets to like pursue and torment the protagonists for the rest of the show, right? Like,
sorry, she's not Yazan-Gal. Like,
yes, I mean, look, we can always talk about. Don't worry, my Yazan segment is for later in this rant. I have saved it.
Hold on, let me get my drink.
But anyway, so yeah, and then the fight obviously ends with like, Shuji killing Shiiko, and I think that's kind of what the shocking thing here is because, so traditionally in like mobile suit combat, right? And this is the thing that like, I mean, Eero, you've definitely started to pick up on this because you've watched the original Gundam and Zeta. Like the way Tomino's always portrayed mobile suit combat is that it's always this very like frenetic, harrowing. Mobile suit
combat is fast and dangerous, and die.
Often instantly lethal, right?
I mean, as they brought up earlier in GQuuuuuX, like the reason you have Mavs is because at like Minovsky particle range combat, if you hit them first, you win because they explode.
Right,
and you don't.
Mobile suit combat has always been rocket jousting, right? It's one hit kills. Like armor is often less than useless. Like mobility is key, right? And as a result, I think a lot of the like notable like narrative deaths in Gundam, especially Tomino Gundam, it's very like heat of the moment, like mutually assured destruction. If I don't pull the trigger right now, he's going to do the same to me, right? There's this feeling that like the kills are desperate. They are often like split second decisions that you don't really have time to think about what you're doing. Your opponent is pointing a gun at you, and you manage to pull out your gun like a half second faster.
A lot of people die in very messy, stupid ways because that's kind of just how killing people works.
Right. And so as a result, fights, and this is not to say that thus these characters are morally absolved of killing, right? But it is more that it's so frantic. There's not really a sense of premeditation often to the killing in Gundam. And I think the reason I felt so like emotionally sickened by the end of this episode is that Shuji essentially commits premeditated murder.
So slow. I think it's
by
great.
Gundam standards.
The fact that they do not have the reactor go instantly the moment he stabs it through is very clearly a deliberate choice to kind of draw out
nothing but hamburgers or
right. This is a deliberate cockpit kill. Right. This is like the in many ways this is like the most morally reprehensible thing you can do in already the dangerous
I thought it was great.
You pointed out this as we were watching it. He could have gone for the head. He could have just taken the head off.
And it's even worse here because they're not in war. This is a game, right?
No,
so
right.
and to compound on all of this, they are experiencing new type resonance in that moment, right? Like, and this is why the thing I kind of get into is like the reason why I find Shuji's vibe so rancid is like, if you understand anything about what Tomino was trying to say about like the potential of new typism in the UC, like Shuji is like a set like at this point he is like a more like I find him like more spiritually hollow, more like spiritually like rancid than like the likes of Bask or something, like because to experience new type resonance, right, is to become one with another human being, right? Is like the potential of new types is that across the lengths of space and time that we could like telepathically like commune with one another and experience another human's like experiences and thoughts.
That's why I'm saying he's something like a much more sinister character.
Exactly.
Is what he does this and they all go into the Kira zone and what frickin'
so
Shiiko goes, "Oh, I see what your wish is." Okay, and dies, right? And he does not seem to be affected by this in any way whatsoever. But as far as we have seen, and so it's like, Gundam, suddenly this guy's like a lot scarier.
No, he like this is like this is full on school shooter vibes, right? Like this is like the thing that's like the thing, and this is the part where it's like maybe like am I bringing in my baggage from the UC into this? Most definitely, but like. The other times new type resonance have happened in Gundam, it usually results. It's usually like these very grave, massive events, right? Like, not to spoil the end of Zeta, a 30-year-old show, but like a character hurting another character during new type resonance is enough to basically obliterate his ego, like to destroy his mind.
I mean, like Shiroko did that deliberately.
Yes, but I mean, and that's kind of what I mean is that like what makes that like that is what makes Shiroko a monster is that he's a new type capable of inflicting that kind of harm despite the powers he is enabled with, right?
I mean,
so, like in a lot of ways, Tomino posits the most like awful kind of person would be a new type who is still capable of malice.
I mean, yes, but like there are tons of bad new types in.
For sure, but that's kind of what I'm getting at, right? Is like that's what makes Shuji like such a like weirdly repugnant character.
Right.
You think he did not? It was not a bad thing that he did in this episode.
No, I just think it's an incredibly common or garden piece of villainy. I don't really.
But I am arguing it is the context that changes this from like any other Gundam, right? Like so many other good characters, like so many other characters who have been tragically killed in Gundam. Again, it is the sort of like heat of the moment, like the tragedies of like being a human in war, right? Like whereas like what Shuji does here is again, I am willing to call it murder. Yes, like obviously, rationally. You can look at this and understand that Shiiko put herself in this situation. That Shiiko herself does not exactly get to hold the moral high ground. She willingly entered, this duel with the intent to kill Shuji, right? Like, I'm not like out here being like, believe me, I'm not out here about to say Shiiko did nothing wrong. But what I'm trying to argue is that the like narrative context in which the kill is done, the way it is directed and shot, and the context of like what it means to be experiencing the things they are doing during that moment is what like makes Shuji go just from like weird kid that's kind of fucked up to like, oh, this kid has like the worst vibes I have ever seen.
Again, what saying, and I think that the scene is very well engineered to deliver that emotion. But I did not get that emotion because I don't care about Shiiko and I don't care about Shuji because I don't really know either of these characters.
So yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but again, with no other context other than what happened in the episode, I was like, oh, that is bad what he just did, right? It's very clear, like, he did not have to kill her. It's in a scenario where they're not supposed to be killing each other. Maybe it happens accidentally or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he very deliberately chose to murder her. I'm fine calling it murder.
He has her dead to rights. Her suit's already disabled.
Yeah, there was no
out of commission.
We literally just saw last episode another fight where people didn't die. Like, it doesn't. You don't have to kill people. Like, it's not. You're not supposed to. Like, they even say, somebody says, you're not supposed to kill people, right? So I forget who says it. One of the people watching.
The risks are implied because again, these are like highly illegal underground like arena fights. So like obviously,
but they're literally just standing there at that point, right?
Yes, the dangers are the people here are aware of these dangers, but yes, it is the way in which it is performed, right? And to be clear, I think this is intentional, and that's why I think it's like a very effective storytelling moment because a lot of Gundams in the past have tried to morally absolve characters of killing by narratively stacking the deck in a way that makes them like not culpable, right? It's he ran himself on my beam sword, or oh no, I was trying to shoot a warning shot and he had the gall to move in a way that put his cockpit in front of my beam. You know, like to be clear, like I'm not to be clear, this is not a criticism to be at all. Like I in fact I really again, in the context of this episode, I think it's a very like laudable directing choice because of how it casts these characters. Like, I would much prefer this to the like, ooh woo, Shuji's small bean, he didn't mean to kill her, right? Like, I think like the intentionality of his act makes him a much more interesting, if reprehensible, character.
So
I just try to explain like this is like where that initial emotional reaction comes from.
And the thing I'm trying to say is I think you're right. I think it is an incredibly effective series of directing choices. I think that there is a strong emotional revulsion to that. I'm just saying that I don't think it is on the kind of calamitous level that you are kind of ascribing to it. I do not feel the same way about Shiiko as the same way I felt about Camille when he ended Zeta Gundam.
I don't know. Like, that's kind of why I'm like, I don't, I mean, whatever. Like, we'll have to agree to disagree. I just don't get it. Because, like, yes, you're not as emotionally invested in these characters, but you cannot recognize that, like, in terms of, like, how this scene is shot, it is clearly meant to be. This,
no,
like,
you just said that he did recognize it.
I just said that I recognize that it is effective, and I felt strong emotions for this scene.
You're watching, you blurred out, oh, that's just murder.
Yeah. I just don't believe that it is a seminal moment on the level that you are ascribing to it. You know, people have died in horrible ways, in cold-blooded ways in Gundam shows before. You know,
look, I am not even trying to ascribe it to that same level. I was using it as a comparison. Like, you know, I am not saying this moment is equivalent to the end of Zeta, a 50-episode series directed by the genius himself, Yoshiyuki Tomino. I'm just saying it is evoking a similar, like, style of moral revulsion because of the context of what is being invoked.
I'm just saying that I don't even think it merits the comparison.
You know, I mean, if I could pick a better one, I would. It's just that there's not, like, here's the thing. Even Tomino would rarely ever go this far, like, would ever be this cold-blooded with the kills in his shows. And to be clear, Tomino has never been afraid of killing characters in extremely callous, cold-blooded ways.
And occasionally in hilarious ones.
Yes, but I think the difference is that, like, Tomino, that's what it was. It was callous, right? It was very much like, that's war, kid. You know, like the way Miharu gets got in the original Gundam is like, it's one of those like immensely casual, awful deaths. And I don't think that's necessarily what is happening here. Like, what is happening here is like a premeditated malice that, like, again, fuck, man, I don't even know if like Yazan Gable was ever that fucked up, you know? Like,
All right. Okay, so I got we gotta
wrap this up.
we gotta put a plug on this one.
Mhm.
I think at this point, everybody watch it yourself and come to
Sure.
your conclusions on it. But
Like-
I think we're all broadly, I think, in the same territory of this was bad. And my thing is like, my thing is like,
Wait, are you saying we agreed that murder is bad?
yes,
Mm.
shocking conclusion here on the GLORIO chat. Murder is bad. My thing is like, what are they going to do from here with Shuji?
Right,
are they going to actually turn him into a bad guy, or are they going to redeem him? And I feel like I'm leaning toward they'll probably redeem him, and I don't like that. But
no, and that's kind of where
we don't know. Like, we can only speculate. I'm just going strictly on vibes, right?
If I may speculate, like my hopes ? If I may speculate about next episode, because the next episode preview is about how what Nyan cannot hear the laws, cannot see the Kira-Kiras, right? Is what they say in the preview, and so I wonder if the next episode will be about Nyan going, "Hey, what the hell?" Kilts and Machu, who is stuck in the psychic whirlpool, does not appear to be that bothered by it, right? And I could see this being potentially, I could see this being a point of conflict between the characters,
right? I mean,
in episode 5,
right? I mean, it would be very interesting to like have a sympathetic portrayal of an old type, like which is like, frankly, like weirdly rare in Gundam. Like usually Gundam kind of trends towards portraying people who are not new types as being backwards and like, you know, willfully ignorant. And so if Nyan is the one who can offer the perspective like, hey, I don't get to benefit from psychic resonance, this all seems fucked up to me, definitely be an appreciated like change of pace. Again, I think again I am totally willing to like and ready to like look back on this episode weeks from now and go like, that was a really effective turning point in the like thematic through line of GQuuuuuX, right? Because I think there's a lot of potential that this episode becomes that like moment, right? The like, oh, that's where like there's a world where we look back and we say, oh, episode 4 is where the real GQuuuuuX starts here, right? And I would really like that to be true, because I think, again, I don't think any of this is accidental. It's why I'm not criticizing it. I'm more just like breaking down my emotional reaction to it, because like I think most of this was intentional. I just need to know like what it was intended toward, right? Like
because that will only be revealed with time.
Because like I think I'm with Gel, where it's like, I think the cynic in me is like, I don't like, you don't design a character like Shuji to be like fully villainous. Like that's a character that's meant to be marketable. Just the nature of how anime is.
I will
Shuji toys and merchandise right now, right?
I will play devil's advocate to myself here, and say on the other hand, I mean, it does feel like a very easy setup of Machu blindly following this guy to hell and then discovering that, oh, he's bad, and maybe he becomes the actual antagonist of the show. Maybe he becomes the Char of
I was going to say maybe he is Char.
Even though technically Char is supposed to be around somewhere, maybe in another dimension. Who knows? Maybe he becomes the actual. I mean, he has the red Gundam or the red robot, right? But who knows? At this point, it's one more episode. We don't know what's coming. So we can only speculate. But
yes, the final two things then, since I will not be able to finish the full version of my write-up here. First of all, shout outs to the appearance of my actual favorite UC Glup Shido, Dr. Moss Khan.
One of the guys that had me Googling if this was a person from the original show.
That is, in fact, a character from the original 1979 Mobile Suit Gundam.
I could kind of tell by his design, to be honest.
Yes,
but
right.
Yes.
As we all know, I'm sure, Dr. Moss Khan was responsible for the creation of the magnetic coating. That was the sort of a mid-season upgrade performed on Amuro's RX-78-2 Gundam. after he hit a point in the story in which the Gundam could no longer keep up with his exponentially faster reflexes and reaction speed.
We had to use the Magnite coding because we could not get the Gundam arcs and the NT1 Gundam Alex to him in time.
Yes, exactly.
I guess he did get a little Suramakified in the art, but
he
I
did
could
a little
definitely
bit.
tell.
He does a little,
I could definitely tell he was,
But I just thought that was a very goofy way to bring back a character like that. Be like, sure, yeah, I guess without the Gundam, he was a Federation engineer, so I guess he never would have gotten the chance to like apply that technology.
He would have had to figure something. He'd be doing something else, right?
And second, I won't get too into it here because this is something that I think will probably be more major later. Yeah, the invocation of Lala Sune at the end of this episode, right? They call it the Lala sound. And I'm certainly curious what they intend to do with this because as far as we know, Char did not meet Lala Sune in this timeline. So,
as far as we know,
who's that?
Maybe it's nothing.
Is that original timeline Lala Sune? Like, is she transcending the boundaries of dimensions? Like, what are we doing here? You know, I mean, again, I'm not speculating. I'm just
theoretically, she should still exist in this timeline. Theoretically, Char may even have met her in this timeline. It's hard to say because Gundam history is kind of vague on that aspect.
Right, yes. I mean, if you believe the origin, which is Yaz's telling, then yes, Char met Lala Sune like years ago.
Can't.
But the point I'm making is that, my final point here is that similar to like what Zig was saying about like choosing to put the story in the UC, is that you're invoking a lot of stuff like this that like you kind of can't do casually. Like, I kind of expect that if you're going to invoke imagery and terms like this, that like, and again, right. I mean this about the Lala sound, not Mos Khan. Mos Khan is a glove. It's fine. He's a cute cameo.
I'm a little more willing to just like let it all slide, right? Than you, I think.
I think this was Zig's point earlier of like, okay, well, you can just kind of throw in the name for the cameo, but why, right? Like, it's if you're going to do it,
for the big stuff,
be,
right?
Like,
right.
What is that?
I think my position comes down closer on like, well, why not at this point, right?
Also a perfectly valid
right, which like while also I completely understand because that's the shit I was worried about before the show started, right?
Right.
And I think I've just like decided I'm gonna let it wash over me.
Fair enough.
I'll just add a final note that I am writing about this show. There should be a new post out by the time this episode goes up. But yes, if you want more fully developed versions of my thoughts, I will be writing about it on the blog.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing for the ops. Yes. Just to be clear, all right? It's okay if you like Shuji. To be clear, if you like your like soulless new type murder twink, go with God. All right? Like I'm not here to judge.
I fully expect it at this point. Yes.
I'm not here to judge anybody. Again, one of my favorite Zeta characters is Yazan Gable, an unrepentant murderer and fascist. So look, we all got our problematic faves, all right? But what I'm saying is, if you are defending him, if you are one of those people on Twitter who's like, oh, Shuji killed in self-defense, he did nothing wrong, if you think he holds the moral high ground, you know, or that he came out of this episode looking good, buddy, clip this. You're on site. You got ops now. It's me.
Shots fired.
Just be braver and admit you like him because he's problematic. Okay?
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Embrace it. Yes, I will respect that if you embrace it. Yes. All right. Well, any other final parting words here before we move on? I think we've.
It's episode 4. Let the show finish.
Now that we've spoke double the length of the actual episode, we can
look. Just we at the GLORIO Chat, we support women's wrongs. All right, like
look, like I said, this is like a once in a lifetime scenario. I think for us here, as far as and again, regardless of the quality of the show, just for us to be able to talk
overlapping,
about it. Right? All of these things converging together, whether they ends up being good or not, we'll see. But it's a big deal for us. So, okay, well. We've got plenty of other anime to talk about, as it turns out. There are a lot of shows we're watching this season. Not all of them will be here next time, and from what I understand, one of those it might be My Hero Academia Vigilantes. G, are you finally done with this? Or,
I think my conclusion is like it's fine, but I don't think. I mean, the sort like I like the source material enough, but not like so much that I want to rewatch it in anime form. And also,
I was going to say, did you read the source material through to the end?
Yes, I have read Vigilantes. So the anime is fine. It's decently well made, but also like they have not broken the Utapon glass. So it's like, it's on some level, why are you even watching a My Hero Academia anime adaptation, right? So this is not me hating on it. It's fine, but I just think it's like not really worth sticking, especially in a season like this where there is plenty to watch for better or worse. Like I think My Hero Academia Vigilantes might have been like a last season show potentially, but I think this season it doesn't really pass muster.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the anime is not bringing enough to the experience that you didn't already experience in the manga, basically.
Right.
That's
I think what I don't maybe you brought this up for last time when I was not here or not, but what was the conversation we had? Like My Hero Academia main is a Dragon Ball, but Vigilantes is a JoJo, right?
yes. Oh, right. We had that discussion, right? Of every shonen is either a Dragon Ball or a JoJo. It's just sometimes the lines get blurred, or they think they're one, but they're actually the other.
Yep. Jujutsu Kaisen thinks it's a JoJo, but it's actually a Dragon Ball.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Hiro.
That's it.
It wishes it was smart enough to be a JoJo.
So, if somebody has not read the manga, would you recommend they watch this?
If you like My Hero Academia,
and if you like right,
then when it comes to spin-offs of major shonen properties that are side stories, this seems like a solid one.
Like, yes, I know the bar for shonen spin-offs.
This ain't no Boruto.
Like round, but somehow Vigilante still clears the bar.
You know what? I read some of the Boruto stuff, which has times and like Boruto's super duper ultimate technique. Now it's just the infinite spin from Steel Ball Run.
Oh, so you're saying Naruto? So you're saying Naruto?
So Naruto's trying to be
JoJo. It's trying to be JoJo now, but it's not. Right? Like it's
I wouldn't necessarily call Boruto a spin-off at this point. It's just a full-on sequel.
Yeah, well,
I mean, yes. I just don't think it's a particularly good. We need to not talk about this.
Yep. So, My Hero Academia Vigilantes, pretty good, but you guys don't need to keep watching it.
No, it's good.
What do you mean? All the kids are into Naruto these days.
We see Boruto's dad.
Boruto's dad.
Sorry, I misspeak sometimes.
Is that what you meant? Yeah.
She goes.
All right.
Daughter. Whatever.
We can probably move on then. Let's talk about Apocalypse Hotel.
So, the actual best show this season.
I think Apocalypse Hotel is the show this season that I am enjoying the most, with the fewest asterisks attached to it.
Okay, so
high praise indeed.
So, just a quick recap: Episode 3, the Tanukis we've been seeing in are they in the OP and ED both?
They are.
They're definitely in the OP.
They finally show up. They're not Earth Tanukis. They're from space.
Space Tanukis. Tanukis.
Episode 3 is them kind of let's say culturally clashing,
sucking ass.
The hotel staff
ass is what those Tanukis are doing.
Literally shitting in the corner.
Yeah, quite literally. Yes. And so they kind of get that somewhat under control in episode 3.
Get out of the way.
Be Tanukis if they didn't suck in some manner.
Hey, and, now I won't hear this about Soletta.
Right? Yep. All right.
The little daughter of, I actually don't know how old they actually are. I don't remember.
I think they joke that like the daughter's like 50 years old or something.
Right. It's alien. Oh, I'm actually 1 bazillion.
Oh, right, because they make the joke about she has to be old enough to work because she volunteers to work with the hotel.
Tell it to a judge, mister.
So, and that brings us in episode 4 where they go on their little adventure where they fight a giant sandworm of some kind.
Yeah, honestly, it was kind of great though. I liked it. I thought it was funny.
I thought that was very. I think this this episode did a great job to elude my fears about what the Tanuki would bring to the dynamic. Like, I think episode 3 like towed right up to the line of how much like comedically shitty behavior I could tolerate from these Tanuki before.
And then she punched them in the face. Like,
yes, and I think episode 4 does a good job of like building on that. Like you have a little bit like, but it's again they know their limits now. So like the mother is like doing the whole like I'm gonna be a real shit heel on purpose, but phrase it in the nicest way possible when they're complaining about the quality of the food at the hotel. You know, they're like, oh no, you see, like you shouldn't call them out on it. This is actually Yachio's like elaborate like, humiliation ritual.
They're
She's
being
a
so
masochist.
polite for us for giving us, you know, their
Such dog
their
shit
meager
food.
and terrible like
Yes.
things that they have.
So, you get a good bit where the dad is like, I'll take the punch for her, please. Just don't hurt her. But yeah, and then you know, kind of like that sets up the like, yes, Yachio and Punko have to go on a hunting expedition, right? We got to go find new ingredients, and that leads to them fighting a big sandworm for some reason.
Environment bot finally shoots his like annihilation cannon, and it doesn't do shit.
It doesn't work. It's so useless.
That was my favorite joke
And just
because
goes,
like,
Great joke.
not because it wasn't just the concept, but the way the comedic timing
It's
on
the
it.
timing. It's like
Of it,
we
like,
always say this about anime
He
comedy,
has this
right?
big wind up that we've been seeing this whole time, where
he's done the morph like 5
Right.
times.
and he finally has to shoot the beam, and it's like instantly, like not even like for half a second, just bounces off of it. Nothing goes absolutely
It's so
nothing.
good. It's
Like
so
I
good.
was saying, like it often feels that anime just does not have incredibly snappy timing, but
And that
this was just
yeah,
perfect.
that was perfect. Yeah.
Look, man, I think there's a reason why when we call out certain comedies, like it's because often it's that the timing is good, right? Like it's the snappiness of it.
When they pull up the camel hump,
Oh, God.
I thought that was so funny.
Oh, I love that. That's like that gag almost doesn't feel like an anime gag. That feels like more a like physical slapstick gag, like
Almost.
something you would see in like a Leslie Nielsen movie.
Yes, that was
Picking
yes.
up the hump, and it's just the hump.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man, yeah, it's
very good.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm enjoying it. It's
Yeah.
yep.
Still looks beautiful too. Still a
Looks
really
good.
nice
Yeah,
looking
it's
show.
got-
Looks good. So we still have like it's not just complete silliness. Like you still have some like pathos in like Gachio's batteries running out. Or
Right,
whatever.
you know, they are getting at the like the desertification of the world, right? The like this idea that like, you know, it's not all just, you know, the pretty abandoned city from Nier Automata, right? That,
When-
And what if the final episode reveals actually this is Arrakis in the past?
Oh my goodness.
Well, they did. They also had the little flashback to the Tanukis finding the human
That's
ship.
what I was
just in case-
exactly what I was
Right,
about to say.
In case there was any question, which I don't
Yeah.
think there was, of what happened.
I mean,
to the
it's
humans.
funny, right? Because they played up for humor that the Tanukis are like, oh, yeah, we passed by the humans. You know, they said, look, come. You know, it's like we, you know,
Yeah, we
right?
learned
And
all
Yachi-
about humans from the
They seem
humans.
great.
yeah. And Yachi's like, how are they doing? Right? And it hard cuts to they're all dead, and like it's played for humor, but there's also a little bit of that pathos of like even these Tanuki are like they cannot bring themselves to like potentially unravel this robot's entire purpose for being, right? And
Mhm.
I think that will probably be, you know, again, we talked about it last podcast. That's probably going to be the like narrative through line of the show, right? Is Yachio and the other robots having to, you know, learn to
Break free.
Come to
find
terms.
purpose in a post-human world, right?
Flycatcher bot will live on.
If Flycatcher
Tomorrow
robot had been
comes.
there, you know, instead of Czech robot, I think, you know, I think Flycatcher robot could have handled it, you know, honestly.
Yeah.
Or what if a Czech robot and Flycatcher robot got tie? Will their combined beam be strong enough to defeat a sandworm?
There has to be a joke about the robots gattieing at some point.
Surely, right?
Yeah,
I,
you really
I-
think so?
yeah. I still
That seems like a
think
slam dunk. Yeah.
I know. I think we talked about this in episode 1. I just think it's very funny that yes, Flycatcher robot is number 2 in line.
Yes, it's great.
Of all robots that we
All
have,
robots,
Flycatcher robot is the number 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very good.
Yeah, yep.
Great show.
I agree with what G said before, where I think episode 3 with the Tanukis was pushing it about to the limit of what I'm willing to put up with for how annoying characters, and I do think I hope their presence does not dominate the rest of the series. I want to keep having more weird
Yeah, that is probably like
visitors and
yeah.
things.
I would like this to be a Monster of the Week show.
We have had so far. It broadly has been,
and I hope we don't like also. I know I already said there's still the bits of pathos in there, but I hope we don't that doesn't get too diluted either.
Right?
Because to me, I think that's what
very important.
Yeah, I think that's what kind of helps keep this separate from just a good comedy. Like that helps elevate it a little bit more into something more unique. Which is always hard to do, to inject that kind of thing into like a goofy comedy where we've got very silly things happening.
As has been observed for many years, comedy and tragedy have the same structure. Just
right.
It depends on delivery, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, I do think it's very good. And I hope it can maintain. I know last time I was the one preaching, I don't see how this could go bad, but and I still don't think it could ever get bad, but I could see it. I just hope it doesn't get stuck in like in a rut at some point. But
you don't want it to become complacent.
Yes,
right. Well, you don't want to become Osomatsu-san season 2, right?
Right. Stay Osomatsu-san season 1.
There were still some pretty incredible bits in season 2.
Sure. They're like making fucking season 6 of that show or some shit.
Sure, I believe it. I could never truly hate any season that gave us the Chantal Gatai sequence.
Yeah, that's my new hashtag. Free. Oh god, I can't remember his name now. The
Yoshihito.
Yes, my favorite comedy director. Free.
Class Club season 1 is great.
I want freedom.
So he's my new hashtag.
Look, I'm on Ultraman Tensei. Every time I have to summon the Errol Koenig, or however it's actually said, I think of fucking Schubert the Avocado Man. I can't help it. We'll be there forever.
Does this Shin Megami Tensei also become an incredible rapper?
I'm just saying that man. He directed Osamatsu, he directed Class Collide season 1, and my personal cult favorite Bimbo Gamiga. So and most notably Gintama, the original first 3 seasons or something. But yes, so give that man another job. That's not Osamatsu. Anyway,
last thing I'll say is the actual joke is funnier. I almost kind of wish Ponko had ripped and teared with that chainsaw.
Yeah,
I was getting pretty hype.
I think that would have been like 10% funnier than what they did, but it was still
I was
funny.
already getting like OBS ready to record clips to overlay "The Only Thing They Fear Is You" over it, but they did not sate me there.
Yeah, I think that would have been a little better, but I'm fine with what they did with it. It was good. So, okay, well, let's go to another show that's probably the last time. We're talking about Moonrise. I've seen some things, but I guess
there are two very big reasons to talk about Moonrise.
Okay,
biceps Brocky on the left and on the right.
Okay, that's where we were going with that one. Okay, yes.
Moonrise, we decided to kind of just call it quits. Again, it's not even a bad show, but it's just like it is like the epitome of wasted potential. Like it's a show with a lot of fun moments in a vacuum, but
I think I think we would have been a lot higher on Moonrise if it was airing week to week. Weirdly enough,
that too. Yes. Like I think the way it's formatted and the way they tell the story in ways I feel like are intentionally designed for the binge format, like just do not feel good or work or really engage you.
We here at GLORIO are long avowed haters of the binge format.
Yes.
I mean, I just to kind of like elaborate that, I do think that the binge format sometimes means that you can be a little sloppier with the storytelling, and you occasionally can see that in some.
I think, and that's definitely true in Moonrise, because to be clear, like Iro and I are not like particularly like cinema sins, ludonarrative dissonance kind of guys, right? We understand and respect the artifice of fiction, but like we were constantly going like, wait, like why is that happening, or how come where did that come from, or did they ever explain this?
See, yeah, this is a show I needed more context for. No,
Yes.
I mean, the thing with telling stories is that you need just enough context that you aren't constantly asking questions like that.
Right.
Like,
And so
you only need to preserve
Yes.
the illusion long enough for it to
I need to
pass
suspend
by
my
you.
disbelief
Yeah.
correctly
Yeah.
at the right amount. And so
exactly. And I think so as a result, we kind of dropped it at episode 3 or 4, and I think just as a joke, as a bit, I was like, hold on, Eero. I know you want to drop this, but let me just like scroll ahead a few episodes. Let's just see what's going on.
Look, we saw her in
Moonrise
episode
cooking
3, and
But
I
we
was
didn't
like, "Oh,
really-
tell me more about that character."
To be clear, we kind of didn't really see her. She was there in episode 3.
Right? In as much as the whole villain squad walked on camera
Yes.
briefly.
But then we skipped ahead to episode 9 or 11, I believe. We are introduced to Dr. Salamandra,
Yeah.
who I can only describe as what if King Bradley from Full Metal Alchemist?
Sorry, Führer King Bradley.
Sure. If we were using his full title, yes. It always gets confusing because his given name is actually King.
No, his title is Führer King, and his name is Bradley.
Yeah, of course, Führer King. Yes, the natural.
The Führer King.
Point is, what if Bradley from Full Metal Alchemist was a brown Amazonian goddess and a T-1000? Hell of a gambit.
Hey, it works. man.
Sorry, G, but as the duly elected Union of Podcast representatives, I have to inform you that you have exceeded your horny quota for this episode.
Yeah.
I can't help that these anime aired in the last 2 weeks. All right,
That's the most. It's like here's where the occasional bits of the Arakawa leaking in, I guess, because I know she was only here to do the character designs and probably did them several years ago now.
But yes, if you look at the Blue Sky link I posted in the podcast channel, you will see like
I've watched it.
What an Arakawa coded character. Beautiful, man. The originator of the Arakawa on record saying, what was it? Men should be strong, women should be vavoom.
Yes, like something along those lines.
Yes, and she was just like, what if a woman was both?
Men should be buff and women should be vavoom.
Yes, there it is. But that's the thing, right? So it's a show with fun bits, right? Like, yes, you just want to watch a big lady fist fight the cops for a minute? I mean,
hell yeah.
That's pretty good. Like, if I showed you that in a vacuum, you'd probably think, well, shit, I gotta watch this show.
Yep.
Too bad.
Too bad. The rest of the show's not very good. It's a disjointed sequence of events that really just feel like they're riffing on multiple other better sci-fis, right? Like it's fake Gundam. It's also fake Metroid, turns out. There's a fake Metroid in this plot line that gets introduced later. It's also fake. She looks a lot like Winry. So
Sure.
I guess
that makes
cool?
sense. Yeah.
It is a little Terminator. There's an AI uprising. There's a HAL analog. It's
too
messy
much
as hell, and it's like it's fitting too many of the sci-fi pastiches into like one show, and it doesn't really like have a like cohesive like through line. Like I will not say I actually binge watched the rest of Moonrise, but in my hunt for every available screen cap of Dr. Salamandra, I did skim through the entire show, and so I do have kind of a handle of like broadly like, yeah, it's it is kind of like it starts off as this like high-minded space opera about space rights, but then like twist, the Earth is in on it the whole time, and it's a. The kind of interesting thing is actually Jacob Shadow. I will say his full name every time. The protagonist actually joins the villains like 2/3 in. Like once he gets the revelation, he like actually is like, "Fuck this!" Actually, I think these Moonrisers have a point, even if they did drop an elevator on my parents. It's kind of interesting. Like there's actually like an ideological split like through the show where like half the cast side with the Moonrisers and the other half stay with the government, and it kind of creates an interesting conflict. Yeah, like it does stuff like that. There's it kind of gets a little bit into the like, like in this setting, right? Like the Earth, like the world is controlled by an all-knowing AI. Which, right? You know, and spoilers. It turns out that like humanity growing dependent on something like this is going to like rot the mind and the soul alike, right? And, I mean,
It kind of just sounds like they have way too many ideas going
No
around.
focus, right? Well, yeah.
That's the issue. There's just too much going on, and as a result, all the cool stuff that happens in Moonrise almost feels like it's by accident, right? We accidentally had the brown Amazonian break out of jail, and palm a like. Did you guys watch the second clip where she like fucking like palms a loaded pistol and like no sells it? Like it's pretty ridiculous. It's again, that's why I say it's very King Bradley like coded, of like she is just like
Führer King Bradley. Bro.
yes, Führer King Bradley coded, where like people are like trying to like blast her with a pistol point blank, and she like just puts like a fucking like bunny puts her palm up to the barrel of the pistol.
Oh man!
Ring the bell, Iro.
Which bell we're talking about?
It's so good.
Is the title of this episode going to be G is down bad? I don't know.
I think maybe. I think G is
No,
down bad. Now that I've said it out loud, it can be a podcast title.
I
think G is down bad for multiple characters who are featured in this podcast.
You can't use that as a full title. Besides, Shiiko Sugai could have been a mother to me is a much better option. But,
that is more intriguing sounding, but it's not as clickbaity.
It depends on who you're talking to.
But the point is, I think it's like Moonrise. It's almost like through sheer statistics. I don't know, if your episode's 18 episodes long and you have like a decent amount of budget attached to it, it's almost like a monkey's typewriters thing of like, well, you're bound to make something good eventually, and it did.
You're right.
But in ways that just felt
it's that thing of like, right. It's like Moonrise deserved better on multiple fronts, kind of, right? Like in many different ways, it deserved better production.
Yes.
It deserved a better editor. It deserved to not be thrown into Netflix hell.
Yeah.
Like,
on the other hand, it definitely sounds like that some people are going to enjoy what they're finding here.
Yeah.
Right? Like
if they find it, God.
I think that's also the other thing. I don't hear anybody talking about this show. Like,
if you're somebody who doesn't normally watch anime and this pops up in your Netflix recommendations and you turn it on, you'll probably be entertained.
It's insane that's
probably what they're hoping for.
It's insane they have a show that they can market in everyone's usual, like, insincere way as from the creator of Fullmetal Alchemist, parentheses Brotherhood, and then not do that everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like it's really confusing.
Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, the show that every white person I've ever talked to has told me is the best anime ever made.
Not even that, right? It's like the fact that they got Studio Wit, right? The Attack on Titan.
Yes, from the people who brought you Attack on Titan and
there's so many
Fullmetal
aspects
Alchemist
of this show where they could have leaned into the most cynical, insincere marketing, and then they did it. Like, as far like I don't know if I ever
even me who even us who hate the stupid insincere marketing are like, why didn't you do it though? You had the perfect shot.
I mean, I think this just speaks to the amount of churn that Netflix has done, right? There's just so much stuff happening.
I feel like this would have been a good segue into Lazarus, but perhaps we will talk about that shortly.
Yeah.
But
I think the last thing I'll just say, because again, this is probably the last time we'll ever talk about Moonrise, except for like my regular Dr. Salamandra simping hour. Like, I think it's almost a shame because I don't think this show is like necessarily good, right? But I think in the world where this was an original anime airing week to week, we are probably talking about Moonrise to a certain extent because it's an original sci-fi anime, and you just don't get a lot of those. And so there's like an inherent novelty attached to it. And again, it's like competently made, and like there's nothing in there. Again, I would never say there's anything like offensively bad about Moonrise. There's no moment in that show that I skimmed through that made me go, "Oh, I'm turning this off." Right? Like, it's broadly charming. The character animation is like very like, again, kind of early 2000s coded. The characters' faces will deform in ways I feel like I have not seen anime characters do in 10 years.
Right, not like, since Apothecary Diaries.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's also a callback, right?
This definitely sounds like a show that perhaps we would have stuck with for much longer in a weaker season, right?
In a weaker season, or even just like
Rocky.
at a different time, you know? Like, I think there's a world in which like, if Moonrise airs in like 2012, there's like a generation of millennial anime
people
fan
love this shit. Yeah.
for whom Moonrise is their personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we're a little too cynical. I don't know. It's just we've been doing this. We have specifically. I've been doing this for so long that like, yeah, we can look at Moonrise and be like, this isn't good enough. And I think there's a lot of people for whom it is. It would be good enough if they had the chance to see it.
I think so. I think so. Like I think for a more. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for us who have hundreds, possibly thousands of points of comparison for a show like this, right? It's like
we're too deep.
Okay, yeah, we're in too deep, maybe, but
I think it's important that good, solid mid-tier anime exist, right? It's important that
there needs to be more 3 out of 5 stuff.
Yeah, someone out there, this is going to be their introduction to anime, and they're going to love it. And it's not. I don't think anybody will ever say Moonrise is a classic, but it'll hold a special place in somebody's heart, and that's important. You know? And it's important that people get exposed to stuff that, might not be amazing, but it's certainly not trash either. That's important.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I had a great time watching talking Outlaw Star, like
which the world would be so benefited by just even 2 to 3 Outlaw Stars every year.
Yeah. God. Yeah. Everything. Just it's okay to have your mid-tier anime that we the connoisseurs will drop after 3 episodes, but like are totally fine. Have a Dr. Salamander in them. I wish there were more of these and not.
Dr. Salamandra should have been Aisha Clan for the Zoomers.
That's a sentence. All right. Well,
I'm just really putting it all out on the table.
You guys tweet that one. You guys attach that to your Twitter, to your Blue Sky thread of Salamander clips.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Moonrise, we salute you, but perhaps it is time to move on.
It is indeed.
So.
Well,
speaking of mid-tier anime,
I wouldn't even call this mid. I think this is just kind of bad. I'm enjoying it in its own dumb way, but I don't think it's good.
I did cut base. I mean, we barely talked about this last time. I did basically punt on it last time, so we can come back to Guilty Gear Strive, Dual Rulers.
It's dumb. Even I, who doesn't know anything about
dumb derogatory or dumb complimentary, because
mostly derogatory,
because Guilty Gear is dumb complimentary, right? Usually,
and
but
that's where Dual Rulers is like splitting the difference in a bad way. And I think it's just the core of it is just Dual Rulers takes itself too damn seriously. Like it's like the people making this like thought that
we genuinely cared about the things which happen in a Guilty Gear story.
Right, they were not in on the joke. Like, I'm
the
sorry.
Sometimes it feels like it is, and then it's not.
Right. Like, I can't believe I have to break kayfabe here. My interest in the Guilty Gear lore is a bit. Like, I am not actually into Guilty Gear lore. It's a bit. It's a funny universe to be well versed in.
You told me about Dr. Paradigm. Like,
I think even the people who are into Guilty Gear lore take it with a hefty pinch of salt. Right? Yes. They recognize the inherent insanity of it.
And what it feels like is that Dual Rulers were like, oh yeah, we're gonna get into the heady tale of the gears and the humans and the crusades. It's like, bro, no, you oh no, he's not in on the joke. He thinks we're serious. So I mean, I don't like. Yeah, it's
what's even to the plot. Of this is what a dude wants to kill all gears, and he was contacted by himself from the future. And what he thinks the way to kill all gears is to make Sin Kisuke as the child of Dizzy, and so he is the king of the gears and can control all of the gears since he is a command type gear. We're gonna trick him into going crazy and causing the Crusades Part 2 so we can eradicate all gears.
Sure, so it's a fairly simple plot by Guilty Gear standards. My main issue from when we first saw this anime is on the list of characters I would like to see in a Guilty Gear anime, Sin Kisuke is probably somewhere near the bottom.
It's like the fucking bottom, like right
He's
at
just
the bottom.
not an
He's just that-
interesting
What about
character.
Bridget?
I mean, Bridget's an interesting character, but there's not much to her, you know.
I mean, that's the kind of the
Yeah,
problem,
so she
right?
shows up and there's not much to her.
I mean, she shows up because she's incredibly popular.
Yes.
Right?
Here's
But-
the thing. What I'm about to say is gonna make Dual Rulers sound amazing, and I wish it were. But Guilty Gear Strive Dual Rulers is a show comprised entirely of Guilty Gear Blorbos and Glup Shittos.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Like
Yes.
it's Johnny, Biken, Bridget, like Ramlethal, and then
Dr.
like
Perdon.
all the like one-off like characters who like aren't
Testament.
even playable in the fighting game.
Testament's cool. I'd watch Testament show up in things.
Testament has shown up in a non-speaking role.
Oh,
Yes.
great. Yeah.
It's
No.
it's bizarre.
The thing is, I don't think a Guilty Gear anime centered around, oh, hey, here's some of the sort of A-, B+ characters showing up and having a goof is that bad, you know?
Oh no!
It's
In
just
fact,
that
I would totally be down for
It's
that.
that this
Yeah,
this like thinks it has to have like a real plot.
yeah, I don't want to knock any show for having ambition, but I think you also have to know your material and your audience, right? And again, I'm just not interested in Sin Kisuke in the
Right.
the bloodline of the Gears or in the plots of that man and all that stuff. I don't.
That man has not appeared at all.
Nowhere to be
as
seen
far
in
as
this
I
one.
know.
Yeah,
Well, he'll probably show.
Death is
He'll probably
Stride.
show up right at the end, like the cigarette smoking
like,
man in
The
X-Files.
pathos here, spoilers for Guilty Gear Strive Dual Rulers, and possibly for the upcoming DLC of Guilty Gear Strive. So, like, what our brand new character, who will be Unica, who will be the downloadable character for the fighting game, who has arrived from the future to kill all gears because the Crusades Part 2 caused global catastrophe. She's actually Cian's little sister from the future.
Wow, that's
Whoa!
Exciting.
Somehow,
Whoa! Is your mind not blown? Are you
you're
good?
telling me Kai, Kisuke, you tell me Kai and Dizzy never told anybody they had a second kid? And to be clear, the reason why I say this, and it's not the excuse of they had Unica way later. There's an explicit flashback where Unica and Sin have childhood memories of playing together.
I think that's still just morphogenetic resonance. I don't think.
Okay,
It
fine.
actually
But I'm
exists
saying,
yet.
if they played together as children, why has this character never appeared in any scene?
I think it's morphogenetic resonance. I think she's not.
sure,
yet.
but it's still the most cliched plot twist you could possibly come up with.
It's
Right?
so goofy. This show is
I
pretty
guess
ass.
Kai Kisuke would impregnate Dizzy a second time.
I mean,
No, there's the episode title.
look,
in my limited knowledge of Guilty Gear,
just like Shiiko Sugai, do you think Kai Kisuke would have stopped at one? Like, come on.
I'm amazed Kai Kisuke got one. The dude is like the straightest arrow in the universe.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
Kai Kisuke, somehow the least heterosexual man in Guilty Gear.
I mean, the thing is, what I want from a Guilty Gear anime is I want the weird gremlins to do crazy things, and I
totally.
want there to be incredible fight scenes.
Exactly. What happened to the energy when the narrator was like, "There's time travel," and who is also the time traveler, Axel Lowe. He's stuck in a dimensional warp. And roll credits.
Yes.
It's like, where's that energy?
It's the like one like bit where like Johnny cuts a J-shaped hole in a wall. It's like it's like it's the little like they do kind of get it every now and then. Anytime they lean into good old notable woman respecter Johnny.
Mhm.
Or
Biken can kick up a square of whatever the hell she's standing on, no matter what it is.
She does her tatami thing on top of like an aircraft carrier, which is really good.
I think this speaks to something which is it's very easy to be silly for a goof, right? But it's hard to maintain an era of a sustained period of craziness across an entire show. That's why shows that do it, like Gurren Lagann or Akudama Drive, are so impressive, because it is really hard to keep that energy up.
Well, though I said mere minutes ago that tragedy and comedy share a similar structure and thus can be, used in close proximity, like, it's actually pretty hard to do that well.
Right.
Like...
intentional bathos is difficult.
Yes.
The last thing I'll ask you, Zig, since I assume you're not watching this, right?
I'm not.
All right, tell me this: if you're going to watch an adaptation of a fighting game, like a fighting game anime,
yes,
would you like the characters to do their moves?
I think I would like to see new interpretations of those moves that are not just them doing the canned animation. If
I think that's fair, but how would you feel they just never did any of their moves?
I mean, that's not great. Like, if I watch Street Fighter, I want to see Ryu do the Hadouken.
Right? That's kind
of the thing he does.
You see, they took when Cammy killed that guy and turned it into her level 2 for Street Fighter 6. It wasn't before, but now it is.
But I guess you're saying that there's not enough like iconographic.
Nobody has shouted Dust Loop out loud.
He doesn't shout Dust Loop. He shouts.
I know that he doesn't. Yes. No, he has not said Dragon install.
Yeah, I was going to say has I think there been a dragon install.
Tyrant Rave.
Soul Bad Guy's not done a single move in this show.
He's shot a gun.
He shot a gun and he punches people. He generically punches guys.
Nobody has said, like, with this behemoth typhoon, I will.
Well, to be clear, Gold Lewis Dickinson is not in this show.
What if Gold Lewis Dickinson was in this show? What if Potemkin was here and did a heavenly Potemkin buster on the evil senator?
I don't mind if the characters are using more mundane moves, as long as they bust out their specials to like actually finish fights or stuff like that.
I think you got to do it at least once, like when you introduce the character, right?
Yeah. Like again, don't need it the whole fight, but I would at least like to see Soul end a fight with a Bandit Bringer or a Tyrant Rave, right? And it's so weird that we are now like 5 episodes in, and it's like the show doesn't even want to acknowledge that these are fighting game characters. It's quite strange.
I mean, I'll probably catch up with this just so I can see Bridget animated. I love my girl.
Shirtless Bridget.
Yeah, Bridget does not really explicitly say trans rights, but about as explicitly as you could say in a like
what does Bridget say? So, Bridget says, like, I spent a long time not understanding my own cuteness, and after meeting many people, I was insecure in my own cuteness, and after meeting many people, I realized that my own cuteness, that what I thought was my cuteness was not my real cuteness, and so I learned to accept my own real cuteness.
Yeah, that's about as explicit as you can get in anime. I'll watch it for that.
Sure, I mean, really, like if Twitter is to be believed, all anybody cared about was the 7 seconds of shirtless Bridget. So it's
this is still better than the Blaze Blue anime.
God,
again, I must remind everyone that the Blaze Blue anime ended episode 1 with an apology, so it's kind of hard to get worse.
I think we got to stop.
I did watch the whole Blaze Blue anime. It sucked.
Yeah,
I mean, if there's one fighting game that has even dumber lore than Guilty Gear,
you would think.
You don't care about Ragnar the Blood Edge.
I could get into the Blaze Blue.
But the Susanoo unit.
We are not. We are not doing that here.
Gigantic Tiger.
Someone cut off Iroh's microphone before he starts talking about.
You're the host. You can do that.
Mew 13, right? Is that right?
Yeah. I played a lot of characters in that game. So anyway, Guilty Gear. Not
whatever. It's inconsequential.
Is it better than the next show on our list?
No.
Which is Lazarus.
Somehow.
This is somehow a race to the bottom.
I know. God. Fucking hell.
I don't know why you guys are still watching this, but I suppose you guys
You know what?
keep watching a lot
of bad shows. Moonrise instead.
At least we would have gone to
Yeah,
Dr.
you know, I would like
Salamandra
to, I would
in,
like to
5
know.
weeks.
Yeah, I would like to know why you have chosen to watch this instead of Moonrise.
I mean,
You know
because there's fascination because of who's involved, right?
Moonrise
Yeah.
is longer. It's 18 episodes, and also Lazarus. Look, it's Watanabe, right? Like that's why.
Right.
That's
It's
why.
Watanabe. More people will be talking about Lazarus for the next 2 months than people will be talking about Moonrise. Right? It's like we have there's
Has there been buzz on Lazarus? Because I have been
I
disconnected.
don't know.
I've been
I've
disconnected
seen
from
a
the internet.
non-zero number of people say that they like Lazarus.
Okay.
I would not call it buzz, but there has been discourse around Lazarus,
Okay.
at least as far as I've seen.
Well, has anything changed since we last talked about it, or is it still
No.
okay? Like what is the most recent things that have happened with it? As far
So, like,
as,
the episode that people are holding up as like, Lazarus is finally starting to
Finally
cook.
good, yeah.
Is episode 4, where I guess the premise is like, oh, they gotta hunt down like a mysterious hacker, and they know that this hacker hangs out at this club run by this shitty influencer. And you know, it's just like here's the thing. Remember my like description of like Watanabe as your woke uncle at the barbecue?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, Watanabe, I agree. Influencers are really annoying. Yes, I also hate Logan Paul, but like you're like expressing it in like the least cool way possible.
I mean, just hearing you say this gives me powerful "hello, fellow kids" energy.
That's what it is. Like it's very hello fellow kids, right? He's like, "Oh yeah, man, influencer culture, am I right? It's so bad and shallow, and most of these guys are like sexual predators who use their fame and money to like prey on women." And it's like, "Yeah, bro, I know." Like yeah, you know, like you got a dude, like again, some like fucking like Paul brother ass looking dude looking at camera like, I love giving roofies to women. It's my favorite thing. It's why I throw these parties, so I can grope unconscious women. And then our strong, heroic woman, our fake Faye Valentine, is like, I do so much drugs, I'm immune to your roofies, and now I'm gonna drop kick this loser influencer. And it's like, yeah, that's like a good thing to do. Like, I agree. I would also like to, you know, drop kick a Paul brother off a building. Yes, but
absolutely.
Like, what does this mean for the plot? What does it say about the character?
Absolutely nothing.
Like,
this is inconsequential to the plot. Like right?
Is it even cool when you kick him off a building? Oh, it's not even that well animated.
Right. And I probably talked about this last time, which is a podcast I did listen to and then forgot. But like,
just a quick question.
Go ahead.
Before she kicks him off the building, is there a new type Flash?
No. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
Because
no.
that's murder.
No.
Yes, if she could feel what that influencer is feeling in that moment.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'll stop now.
Right. It's like the show desperately wishes to be a Cowboy Bebop. It is, I think, because it is deliberately inviting these comparisons, it is fair to compare it to Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
And so the thing about this episode, it's like, yes, it's your most episodic one-off, like it is inconsequential to the plot of Lazarus. We're kind of just having a good time relative to what's happening in Lazarus. The thing about Cowboy Bebop, because it's episodic as in nature, like you can have an episode where you're kind of just doing some dumb shit and
bebopping around,
bebopping around, and it's a good time. You know, you like learn a little more about the characters, and we beat up some asshole, and it's fine. But because Lazarus has gone to lengths to set up its whole idiotic deadline about,
I was going to say, aren't they operating under a very strict time limit?
Yes, they are. Every episode ends with how many days remain.
Yeah, like it's fucking Space Battleship Yamato or some shit.
Yeah.
Or Dead Demons.
Yeah, or Dead Destruction.
Yeah.
And so it's like, sure, that was one too many. You are correct. Yeah, I knew it whilst I was finishing saying it. I was like, damn, it was one too many.
The heat of the moment, I understand.
Yes. And so it's like, sure, we're having a fun one-off. We're kicking ass in a club, beating up some assholes, like, and it's like, dude, you're gonna die in 3 weeks.
So for me, it's not even necessarily the like narrative dissonance of this episode. It's for me, it's that like so this episode is clearly meant to be like establishing the crew, right? Like this is the crew working as a unit in tandem, right? They're all here doing their own part of the operation. And I walk away still not really knowing anything about any of these characters or being endeared to their dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like. Because like I think the point of many of those episodic episodes of Bebop is that it was so you could establish, okay, this is what Jet thinks of Faye. This is what happens when like Spike and Faye are alone. This is what Ed brings to the crew, right?
Right.
But like here, it's like there's just like nothing. Like they're just
you get your goofy bits of like the black out the glasses whose name I cannot recall because I don't remember anyone's names in this show other than Axel's his name.
Axel, yes.
Okay. Anyway, point is, you get some goofy scenes of like, oh, we have to make our cover in this club, start dancing. He has a really dumb, awkward dance, right?
Yeah, he's got like a Commander
funny
dance.
Yeah, it's like haha funny, but like, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't know. It's not a good expression of his character. It doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Yeah.
Like, why are we even here?
Well,
hey,
tough question to ask sometimes.
You,
but
you guys are the ones voluntarily watching this, so that's a question you have to answer for yourself.
Yes, I guess one thing
I think it's a point we're making is that like even Lazarus at time feels like it is asking the question, why are we even here?
Yes,
right. Like other than Watanabe got a check to make another Cowboy Bebop.
Yes, right. And I think with Cowboy Bebop, like they establish quickly in the first episode that the reason why are we here is we're broke and we need to get paid by punching this dude in the face, right? Like,
yeah, it's a much more relatable, motivating through line for the characters, even if it's so much more mundane motivation.
Yes, and like that helped ground it and give it some casual fun, right? To things happening in Cowboy Bebop, and that's not here because we're on an extremely tight timeline before everyone on Earth dies, because they took the drug. Drug bad
metaphor gets increasingly confused with every episode because, like,
what a stupid show! What a dumbass show!
It's so dumb. Like, episode 1 introduces Hapna as basically like super Tylenol with no drawbacks, and then by like episode 3 or 4, they're explaining
it's like, what if it was cocaine? Yeah,
right. It's like, oh, actually, Tylenol was like banned from being sold to minors, but minors still got their hands on it anyways, and they mix it with their sodas and drink it at school. And it's like, what, like.
Huh?
Even when they brought it up in the first episode, I was like, okay, yeah, like I can see that a super painkiller would be incredibly useful, but that's not a miracle drug or anything, It's,
right?
It's
and
not
so
something,
and there wouldn't be any like moral ambiguity about taking it the way it was presented in the beginning, right?
Right.
Like, it was
right, and so every episode has like tried to tack another thing onto the list of like, actually, this is why Hapna was bad, and you should feel bad. For the people taking Hapna were actually druggies and addicts and don't deserve human sympathy. It's like, hang on, what the hell are you saying? Like,
there's that very enlightened Japanese approach to drugs.
Exactly.
Which again, like, gets confusing because again, this is Watanabe also like taking great pains to do very like ham-fisted like moralizing about like trans expression or like being a minority in academia. And so
I support trans people, but if you smoke weed, you should be hung from the neck until dead.
What a podcast title! There you go.
There's so many choices. It's gonna be tough.
When Gold Lewis Dickinson supports trans rights, but believes that you should go 10 to life for drug charges.
Look, I would watch a Guilty Gear anime if it was about Bridget smoking weed and then being thrown in jail.
Am I going to jail because I'm trans? No, you're going to jail because you smoked weed.
Let Bridget smoke weed.
Oh, we're so far off the rails here. All right, so Lazarus, yes.
Lazarus.
Bad.
It's whatever.
Lazarus bad.
It's whatever. Yeah. I don't know. It's not. I'm not having a good time as I'm watching it. I'm just like, what? This exists because someone out there, James DeMarco, fucking piece of shit, said instead. Oh, when Watanabe said, "Hey, should I make more like Space Danny type stuff?" and James DeMarco said, "No, make it more like Cowboy Bebop."
I will eat that man. I will hunt him down.
The main thing I'm getting from like all your critiques and all the other critiques I've heard from it is just that this is a very insincere show.
Yeah.
It feels
the most sincere thing I know about the shows when I listened to last week when I was not on, and Artemis described some of the like ridiculous line deliveries in the dub, right?
Yeah,
and to me, like when silly line deliveries of supposedly serious things happening or whatever is the most sincere your show gets, maybe you have a problem.
Yeah.
Also, the actions keeps sucking ass. Like, again, I don't want to keep invoking
right.
Dr. Salamandra here, but like, you compare like her like fist fighting cops to like the like really weird rotoscope fighting of Lazarus. Like, it's very obviously rotoscope, and rotoscoping is not bad. It's a technique, but
but mixing it with traditional animation is a very tricky thing to do.
Because there's like inherent like quote unquote slowness to rotoscoping, right? Because it can only move, or it's moving at the speed of like human motion. And the thing you always forget is that like action in animation is sped up. It's exaggerated, right? It's accelerated.
Especially in anime, which is by its nature a very limited animation medium.
It's like, and as we've brought up before, like this was a huge problem in Ninja Kamui. Like this was, one might say, the single biggest issue with Ninja Kamui.
Right.
Is this, and like just like Ninja Kamui, Lazarus is advertising like we got Chad from John Wick to work on this in some way, shape, or form. And it's like, sure, he does great action in live action where Keanu Reeves can punch a guy in the throat for real.
Like fight up a flight of stairs for 30 minutes, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
But like in anime, it's not the same. Anime is hyper real. It is, we should be doing some crazy shit.
It's a different skill set.
You know, when Dr. Salamandra kicks that door down and does that crazy double kick.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want in anime, right? I think the thing with Lazarus, like, I think the cleanest way to put it is that the choreography in Lazarus it's all things that would feel impressive in live action, but don't feel very kinetic or exciting in animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. You know, if this was a live action show, probably be better. Probably.
I sorry guys. I don't think you understand how much I absolutely hated the first episode of this. So like, I'm so like,
yeah.
No,
I'm so like,
you were the rightest of all of us to pull the ripcord there.
I'm like, nah. Even if this was like, the story was still gonna suck. Like, I'm
not saying it would be good. I'm saying
the action would make more. The action would definitely make more sense in live action context.
Yes.
Yeah, got that. Yep. So, anyway, I guess we will keep dragging that corpse out to beat it next time. But
we gotta have some sport.
You asked for this, Watanabe.
Yeah, it is.
You asked for this, Jason. No, you know, Watanabe, you probably believe in your bullshit. You asked for this, Jason DeMarco. You son of a bitch.
Wait, did it even work on it? This is Adult Swim, right? So it is.
Yeah, it is Jason DeMarco.
I just want to make sure we're not firing shots in the wrong direction.
No. Jason DeMarco, I'll always fire shots at Jason DeMarco.
He deserves shots regardless of
no, because I know we've sometimes confused Moonrise with also feeling very much like an Adult Swim anime.
Sure,
I just want to make sure we got it right.
Yeah, no, this is actually Adult Swim. Yeah, so all right. Let's wrap things up with Kowloon Generic Romance.
Yeah.
Still my favorite show of the season. I'll stand by that.
I did not manage to get to episode 5, but I did watch up through episode 4.
Okay.
Are we doing a 13 Sentinels?
I think we're in some kind of simulation.
Because I was going to say the last episode shows some things that really makes you think we might be doing a 13 Sentinels.
I don't think so they do confirm what I don't think is a surprise to anybody watching the show is that this is not the real Kowloon walled city.
Wow, what a shock.
Yes.
I mean, considering they literally have, I forget which angel we called it last time, floating over the city at all times.
Ramiel?
Yeah,
The
clearly
weird
this is
geometry one.
Yes.
clearly this is some kind of either
Ramiel,
simulation or something's not, so they even specifically mention the actual Kowloon walled city being destroyed in 1994, and
Right.
we get the cliffhanger at the very end of episode 5, in which, spoilers here, sorry, Ira.
No, by all means. I'm
Zig, I don't know if you caught up either.
I
Zig,
haven't, but it hit me. Go on.
Yeah, again, this is not a shock,
Yeah.
but they do reveal, they pull up to where the walled city is, and they reveal that it is not actually there. There's the ruins of it are there in this version of the world.
Right, and whatever's going on, there are characters who seem to have the ability to traverse
right.
the boundary.
I mean, at the end of episode 4 is like what the Snake Man
Yes.
tries to test, like, oh, we brought somebody in who's a copy of somebody in who is currently in the walled city, and like it fucking overwrites him, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Dude disappears.
Man.
So
It's like, what the fuck?
yeah, so like episode 4, I think
Mhm.
there were some interesting bits in episode 4 because it shows that Dr. Heavy Numa also doesn't really know what's going on.
Right.
At least not all of what's going on. And I think based on how things go towards the end of episode 5, perhaps they're setting up his father as the real bad guy, but
Okay.
I'm not
Because
buying that.
He is noted to be like the heir to the Heavy Numa.
Well, he is technically like the president, but I guess his father is still alive, and he gets a call from him,
right, running
like,
things
later
through
in
the
episode
shadows,
5,
probably.
Okay.
implying that he's probably the one. And like I said, in 4, we see that he doesn't at least know everything that's going on, right? He's also trying to figure out what is happening.
I mean, also a classic trope of the stuck inside a virtual environment thing is that the people who think they are in charge are just one layer deeper into the simulation.
Yeah,
right?
because in episode 5, I think we actually see him leave, right? He goes on a TV show outside of...
He seems to be in quote-unquote outside, or at least outside the Kowloon walled city.
But, I'm kind of not trusting the narration, which is cool. I kind of like that. But
it's definitely a show going for that, right? Like a sort of unreliable narrator, or an unreliable cameraman, almost.
Yeah, because they show, I don't know where he goes, what city it was, but they show another actual real city that he goes to, and he appears on.
Right.
A TV show
he appears on a very Japan coded talk show.
Right. And and so episode 5 is kind of what I find much more interesting than the Reiko's crush on Hajime is her friendship with Yao Mei.
Right.
Yeah, this continues to be very interesting kind of thing.
Yao Mei, who was basically advocating for and leave it all behind, embrace your new identity.
There's a very obvious thematic symbolism where Yao Mei is representing the move forward and build your own life versus Hajime being hung up on the past, right? And Reiko being put in between the both of them at the moment, right? But so we get it's interesting with this show because it's all of the kind of twists and reveals and things are very obviously telegraphed. I don't feel like anything has surprised me in the show at all.
Not really, yeah.
But I appreciate. I think what you're probably about to say is that they're not really trying to do that, but something about just actually telling a story with themes and ideas and things, regardless of maybe it's a little on the nose and obvious, but the fact that they're even doing it, I appreciate.
There's something to be said for making these kinds of questions not be twists of dun dun dun, but having them be quandaries that the characters also have to consider and think through for themselves.
To give you something to think about.
Because Kujirai knows that she is some kind of simulacrum or copy, or is not the Kujirai that Kudo knew. right?
Reiko B. Kujirai.
Yes, Reiko B. Right.
And-
So,
and
like she is aware of this, and she has made it known she's aware of this, and other characters know that she's aware of this, and like that's just a weird quandary she has to grapple with, rather than a.
But it does not like unravel the entire like status. Like she still goes to work.
Yes, and like that is in its way more interesting, or potentially more interesting than it just being a dun dun dun.
Yeah, that and like kind of slowly revealing the plot piece by piece. Like they were showing like there's so my kind of theory right now is like these are primarily like maybe Hajime's memories that are getting played around with, because it seems when he gets upset, and I don't remember if this is in episode 4 or 5, but there's starting to be earthquakes when he has like dreams about the past and stuff like that.
I was going to say earthquakes are a classic sign of a dream world breaking down.
Right.
Everything.
So little stuff like that where they kind of keep revealing things, and even just in like some of the presentation stuff, like so like in episode 5 it is focused on Yao Mei, and we get a little bit of her background on why she chose to basically rebuild her appearance and her life and everything, because apparently her mother was like a famous actress and was like trying to make her just like her, and she didn't want to be that. And they just do things like playing with your perspective of like she kind of like breaks down a little bit, because in a way she's putting up the front, but it's like, but it is the person she wants to be. That's the conclusion they come to. And even if she's not quite there yet, but she has kind of a bit of a setback, and she's like, holed up in her apartment, and like as the audience we see her as like her old self with her long, she had like long black hair and stuff like that, and then when Reiko knocks on the door and she comes out, she after talking to her, she comes back out and she looks like the the Yao Mei we know, and like
it's
very, it's not like a literal like thing, but just like little things like that. I appreciate.
I actually, because of the nature of this show, I was actually like, is this like some like, powered by thought simulation, like but, but yeah, no, I think the messages themselves, right? It's like I think they work well. I think almost a little bit similar to like Apothecary Diaries, but on a smaller scale, just because it has fewer episodes. But they're doing a good job of stringing together these like somewhat standalone character arcs into the sort of overall, like, I think, thematic through line they're going with Reiko, right? Like about how she has to kind of like square the difference between wanting to pursue, the version of her that Hajime fell in love with and the version that she wants to become. And I suspect this is going to be one of those enlightened centrist sort of shows where it's like, well, it sounds like you gotta be a little bit of both, it's or something, right? But it's I think it's approaching it in so far interesting ways.
Yeah, it is very much like they outline yes, you should probably keep moving forward and shape yourself into who you want to be, but damn it, nostalgia is appealing sometimes, right? Yeah. Like it's a hard thing it's a hard habit to kick. And I would hope, because I am a big nostalgia hater. I'm sorry.
Man.
I'm so like
in the current climate.
I am so like you can't go back. That's like especially as I get older and more of certain types of people kind of lean into nostalgia as a you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna get into that, but I'm like I hope that the show, but I do understand like the appeal of like the longing for things that you enjoyed in the past.
What the show may be trying to square is that there are healthy ways to express that. Like, it's,
I think
choosing to make it about the Kowloon Walled City, which is like, from a nostalgic point of view, like what a hell of a vibe for a place. And then if you look at it in reality for 2 seconds, it's like, what a terrible place to live.
Yeah. And I hope
for the Walled City is like extremely baffling to me as somebody who had family grow up in Hong Kong.
Exactly.
And I think it's just like, I hope they stick to that, because like in episode 5, that's kind of what the direction they're moving of. They pull back the curtain and show, this this doesn't even exist anymore. It's been demolished,
Yeah,
like
for good reason,
or good, they don't get into the good reasons why, but it's kind of the implication, right? But I hope they stick with the nostalgia is dangerous. Like, yes, it's appealing angle, and I don't know if they're gonna. I feel like they are gonna try to keep it more of a balance type of thing, but we'll see. I'm splitting hairs on that one, but it
feels to me like they are sort of at minimum examining the idea that, like, yes, nostalgia is very appealing and but fundamentally, like on an ideological level, it's unhealthy because it prevents you from like moving forward, right?
Yeah, I just hope they don't totally lose their spine, basically. Because, like, for example, one thing that would worry me in that department, you may recall the very last scene, I think, in episode 4, Hajime says, "Well, what if I told you I killed Reiko Kujirai?" Right?
I get the feeling that's not true at all.
And immediately at the beginning, and like, yes, I did not necessarily think that was true, but like immediately at the beginning of episode 5, he's like, I'm just saying, what if I said that? Well, how would you react? Like, and I'm like, oh, come on, don't
shut up.
Don't totally pull your punches. I get, like, the show is not, I don't think it's supposed to be like a super heavy dark sci-fi thing, but also, like, there are those elements, like there's this sort of like creepy undercurrent there that they can work with. And I hope they don't totally lose that in the midst of just trying to, have vibes, right?
Also, anime writers, I'm sorry, you can't do it anymore. I am so done. I am so done with the trope of the character saying, "I killed her." But you see, actually, he says that because of a deep sense of guilt over feeling responsible for the death of a character, even though he did not actually commit the killing.
I was speaking metaphorically.
I'm done. All right, we don't need that trope anymore. All right, you've done it too many times. You don't get to do it anymore.
You know what, though? We would not be able to have stunts like that if this was in the binge format.
It's true.
There's a silver lining on that one.
I do want to note that I was reading about this show. I guess the original the mangaka for Kowloon Drunk Romance learned about and became interested in the Kowloon Walled City because she played Kowloon's Gate on the PlayStation 1.
Is this even more obscure than Kowloon's High School Chronicle?
A weird, like, like a weird adventure game, like a Myst-style adventure game, developed and published by Sony Music.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
I looked up some clips of this of Kowloon's Gate, and it looks like a real fucking weird video game.
Man, imagine how good this show could have been if she'd played Shenmue 2.
Yeah. I wonder what other weird games she's played that will inspire her next manga. Now that this is over, I think. This is not. It's about. I think they said it's gonna end, but by around the time the anime ends.
Well, they're gonna coordinate.
Right, like I'm saying here, to commemorate the 10th anniversary of the game, the original creators remade the game world in Second Life.
Oh,
wow. Perfect. No notes.
Kowloon's Gate VR was released as a PSVR exclusive in 2017.
The jokes write themselves. PSVR, God.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway,
yes.
Okay, now my one ambition is to invent time travel and then go back and swap this lady's copy of Kowloon's Gate with like Doom or something. And see what happens.
With Kowloon High School Crying.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm still very much enjoying. I'm still very much enjoying the show. I feel like it's one or two little tweaks away from being like really great.
Yeah,
but I think it's still very good.
They've got time. There's still a fair old bit of show to go.
Yeah,
I can't blame Kudo for being down bad for Kujirai B.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't blame you, man.
Maybe this episode is just we're all down bad.
I was going to say this episode we've had in a while.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I am pretty down bad for Kujirai B. And maybe even A to a certain extent, but I'm less into the Kohai thing.
I mean, it's just so much hotter when she's the senpai, right? Like that's just all it is.
No.
Yeah, like she's still hot, but don't get me wrong. But I'm taking some of the heat off you on this one, G. I'm trying.
All right, thank you. I should not have to be the only one to bear this weight.
Bro, you jump in here too. I know how you are with the glasses girls. So yeah, you take some of these bullets with us here.
I gotta take this podcast over and sweep away this tide of filth.
All this lewdness. Like...
Someday a real raid is gonna come and wash the scum off the streets.
All right. On that note, I think we're finally done. It's another long one here, so thank you all for sticking it out, both of those of you on the podcast and those of you listening. But a lot of good shows. I'm glad we have anime to watch.
Lots to talk about. That's for sure.
Makes a pleasant
things to talk about.
Yeah, I didn't even get to talk about how I watched Mamoru Oshie's Ghost in the Shell (1995).
Oh shit! We did not get to that.
Wow,
You're right.
Another time.
I mean, I also cut like 3 other shows I'm watching.
Yes,
so
exactly.
we got a lot going on. So maybe next time, because we cut a couple shows, right? So maybe next time we'll see. But we'll also have 2 episodes of Gundam to talk about.
2 episodes. We're fucked.
All right. Let's do our housekeeping. Check us out at theglorioblog.com. Follow us on Blue Sky at GLORIO Keep an eye out for Zig's other projects here. So as he mentioned, he'll be writing about Gundam separately, and also, of course, the other podcast we have going right now, Blue Mondays, the Eureka 7 rewatch podcast with Zig and Aqua and mostly G. I feel like G, you've been on way more episodes than you haven't been on, but
it's true. Things are about to get. It's super happy fun time now. Things are about to get really happy.
Yeah,
so.
Haruto.
I mean, as far as I know, that
my guest appearances was kind of like contingent on, there's a lot of filler in Eureka 7. I probably can afford to skip a couple, and it's like, oh shit, right, we're already in like big plot stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, that show's just about like sky surfing with cool mecha, right?
Good vibes.
About Homemade Kazoku.
Yeah. All right. So keep an eye out for that next week. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and YouTube, where of course you can like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Tell us what you're watching this season. If there's any other shows we're missing that we definitely don't have time to watch, but hey, maybe it's a good season, so who knows. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. We'll catch everyone next time.
We didn't even talk about the Black Tri-Stars showing up.
Okay, I'm stopped.